70.
Good morning. How are you doing on this Wednesday? Thanks for joining us. We've got Lisa on the news desk. I'm Ryan. Lisa, how you doing?
I'm good, yeah.
Yeah?
I was like, I'll play the role of Lisa today.
Yeah, you'll be Lisa.
Yeah.
I am a little surprised by something today. I'm just sort of shocked.
Okay. I'm waiting. We're all waiting.
How often does a campfire ban come off that quickly?
Okay. I'm with you.
Yeah.
I saw that. I'm like, wait, is that a typo? Off, on.
It was just last week. That it was hot. It was dry. Don't want any fires. So
once it's in, it's usually until Halloween.
Yeah. You put it in until the fall.
Happy. We're all happy.
This is actually not a bad thing because, look outside. The clouds rolled in. It cooled off a little bit. A lot of people make this coming weekend the sort of start of camping season.
Of course. It's a long weekend.
Yeah, and it's one of the first ones that usually in Victoria it's reliably nice enough to go camping. So I think a lot of people who had camping trips planned, who love to have a campfire, will be pleased to see this. But I'm just shocked. I don't think I've ever seen that, at least not that I've noticed.
Not that quickly anyway. I think, how do we say it, out of an abundance of caution, we always... and rightfully so, they pause before they put it back in. But I keep watching the BC wildfire map, and it keeps showing nothing on the island, which is good. Of course, we want to keep it that way. But there's a point, too, where we think, okay, well, there's no fires. So if we lift it for the long weekend and we get a couple fires, do we bring it back in? Maybe. I don't know how it works with the crews, other than they want to make sure that we don't lose any land or any houses or, anything in the flames path. Currently, 31 active wildfires. We have had 10 start in the last day, which is up from what we've had in the past. But we still don't have anything new on Vancouver Island. The last fire started May 8th, which was last Friday, and it's under control, very small in size. So, yeah, why not? And especially heading into the long weekend, we've told people repeatedly, be careful with fire. I don't think that it's necessarily campfire. Sometimes it's campfires getting out of control, not putting the proper perimeter around it. Sometimes it's a vehicle backfiring. Sometimes it's someone not realizing the fire danger of, say, hot mufflers, these kind of things. So a lot of people do ATVing up island. That's something that has been potentially linked to it. Litter's been potentially linked to starting fires. So these are all human-caused ideas or human-caused reasons for fires. So if we're all careful about it, maybe the fire ban isn't coming back soon.
Well, looking at the forecast for this weekend, it's chance of showers to start on Friday and Saturday for Victoria. Other parts of the island might get some more serious rain. Areas like Tofino in the west coast.
Right.
Looking at Tofino right now, it does look like... while we've got a chance of showers in Victoria, Tofino's just got rain. So, yeah, with that coming, fire ban has come down for the campfires, for the coastal fire region. That is what we're looking at specifically here. I mean, if you're going somewhere else in BC, do check and make sure. But
yeah, municipalities will have it separately, too.
Yeah, different areas have their different rules, for sure. 6:16. Here is Lisa with the rest of the headlines.
Thank you. BC's public safety minister says extortion cases have dropped off in recent months, but combating the crisis is the government's top priority, safety. Nina Krieger says police, along with the Canadian Border Service Agency, have made meaningful progress in holding extortionists accountable. She made the comments in an online roundtable discussion involving several police officials, including RCMP Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald. He says there's been an overall drop in extortion-related activities in BC, but the coordinated efforts across law enforcement agencies in Canada and internationally would be necessary to keep up that progress. We had a shaker off Haida Gwaii, a 4.0 earthquake. This was yesterday afternoon. Around 1:35 was lightly felt on the eastern side of Haida Gwaii at a depth of about 10 kilometers. The agency says despite it being felt in some locations, there's no reports of damage, none expected. No tsunami, of course. This comes after a 4.1 struck on Sunday off the same area. And the operator of the cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak has told the AP that expects to know by the end of the week if the vessel will keep its schedule for the coming months. Ocean-wide expeditions previously indicated that it would be. The Dutch-flagged MV Hondius is listed as a company's website as scheduled to depart on a cruise later in May. That would take it to the Arctic for a series of cruises through the summer. These cruises cost upwards of $15,000. 3 of the ship's passengers, of course, died in that recent outbreak. That was confirmed earlier this month while the vessel was in the Atlantic. In all, there's been 9 confirmed and 2 suspected cases so far in this outbreak. That is your news to 618.
Texter at 71010 says, it's only a partial reversal. Most open fires are still banned.
That's right.
Only campfires. We're only talking about...
Category 2 and 3 are still in place.
It's just the campfire ban for the coastal regions that got lifted. That was the thing. So, good to be clear, though. Thank you, Texter, for pointing that out. We will see how long that lasts as well.
There's that,
Do we
too.
get through this long weekend and then go back? We'll see what happens.
Right.
Another texter here at 71010 weighing in on a big topic we were discussing yesterday, and that was Census Day. Did you get your census done? This texter at 71010 says, post-Census Day, yesterday my husband did the census long electronic version. Oh, so you got the short straw.
Oh, dear.
It took 4 hours.
Really? I never
I
asked how long it took.
Wow,
I just heard about some of the questions.
Some of our listeners yesterday said it took them about an hour, but this listener found it took them about 4 hours
right
to do.
down the rabbit hole.
It was too much, says the texter.
Yeah.
I had the short one, so I finally did it yesterday on the day, and
Yeah.
I got the short one. It took me about 5 minutes. It was not bad.
You feel kind of cheated. It's like, what? You don't ask me any more questions?
Yeah, you just want to know who lives in my house, and that's it? What?
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
Pretty much. Didn't ask any leading or probing questions.
Yeah, you're kind of all primed for all these spicy questions that everybody's complaining about.
Right.
I mean, I gather they were in the long form. I just didn't get them myself.
I didn't either. We missed the bullet.
Yeah. Well, okay, a couple things to talk about. Today, May 13th, a Wednesday, is the commuter challenge for the Go By Bike Week.
Okay, you've done this.
I have, actually. Go By Bike Week doesn't start until a couple of weeks from now. It's May 30th is the beginning of it, if I've got my dates right here. Yeah, it goes from May 30th to June 5th.
Okay.
But in order to get everybody kind of psyched and primed and ready for it, it's the commuter challenge today.
Cycling up.
Yeah, let's talk about that coming up in a few moments. And I've got another transportation change for Greater Victoria, which looks like it might be happening, to talk about in a few moments too. So lots of transit-related
on the road
topics on the road in just a moment. After we do, oddly enough, traffic and weather. CFAX at 70 traffic and weather, 6:22 here on a Wednesday morning, and the commute is light right now. Nobody really out on the roads yet, comparatively speaking, for the West Shore commute into Victoria. And for the roads downtown, there will be some new road work to watch out for right downtown Government Street from Discovery to Pembroke from 7 this morning until 7 p.m. They're going to begin some road work there. That will be going on until July. So government between Discovery and Pembroke, new delays are going to be happening due to road work there. We've also got, again, the paving on Blanchard, northbound between Bay and Hillside to watch out for. Over to the weather forecast. We haven't really seen a ton of rain materialize, but we still have a small chance of showers hanging over us. But we're going to change into a mix of sun and cloud for the rest of the day pretty soon here. A wind will become the big factor, so a very breezy day, especially if you're right by the Wantafuka Strait. Highs at 18 degrees. Tonight, still windy. Lows down to 9. Tomorrow, we start with a mix of sun and cloud, then a chance of showers back into the forecast.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
Lots to talk about on the roads. Let's talk about the fact that it is the Commuter Challenge today. So Spring Go By Bike Week, formerly known as Bike to Work Week, is happening May 30th to June 5th. And today is the Commuter Challenge that sort of, gets everybody ready for it, reminds everybody that it's happening. And this year, we have a team going here at CFAX 1070.
Sure do.
It is a team comprised of Boss Man Brad, our boss, is going to be on the bike.
Oh, I like the alliteration.
Yes, Boss Man
Brad on the bike.
Boss Man Bike Brad. I don't know. We'll figure that out. We'll workshop that.
Well, you got it, I think.
And then co-host of the afternoon show on CFAX 1070, Josh and Jade. The Josh part of that equation will be in the car.
All right.
And the way it usually works is everybody's going to the same destination. So anybody taking part in this will all end up at the legislature downtown. Right. Belleville and Government is where they're all heading. Taking off from various locations around the city. Correct. For us, they will be leaving here, the Esquimalt studios of CFAX 1070, and then they will make their way there and see who wins. And I'm going to come out and say right now, Lisa.
I have questions before you say who's going to win.
Okay, then I'm going to let you speak first because I'm about to make my prediction.
Because of the construction that's going on.
Yes?
What time of day?
What's happening around about 8 o'clock this morning.
Okay, that's prime time. Okay.
It's prime time commuting.
Okay, now who do you think is going to win this one?
Well, with the Bay Street Bridge still closed heading out of, Vic West into downtown Victoria, which is the direction they'll be going. Correct. The bike has this hands down. Okay. That driving out of Esquimalt or Vic West right now is very problematic.
Agreed. So, I would agree with you 100%.
Unfair advantage for Boss Man Brad. That's what I'm going to say on the bicycle.
The construction is a great equalizer with vehicles around town. And the thing is, with cycling, you also have to obey a red light or a stop sign. However, we have cycling pass, and that changes the commute time. And we know this because when I scoot in versus when I drive in, driving sometimes takes longer, even first thing in the morning. Yeah. So, okay. So how long do we have to wait to find out?
Well, we're going to talk to them coming up next hour and sort of see how they're both feeling about their commuting challenge.
Strong, eh?
So stand by. We'll keep you posted. We will give you updates on who wins, the bike or the car for our CFAX team.
We're going to hear from them beforehand, though, right?
Yeah, we're going to talk to them before. Yeah, see if they're feeling good about this, and then we'll find out the result afterwards.
And we have to be lawful, right?
Yeah.
Okay, I just want to put that out there. There's no cheating lights, and because sometimes we see that happen. Not in this particular contest, but not all cyclists obey the rules.
Yes, you got to obey the rules. I remember I did this actually once years ago.
You obeyed the rules.
I was on the bicycle versus a car, and I won. I remember
you coming in heaving.
Yeah, I really gave it. I was really going for it that day. Yeah. But yeah, they do stress. You've got to follow the rules. You got to stop at the lights and
otherwise there's
do
no
all the
contest.
things.
It's not fair.
Yeah, you can't cheat. So that is going to be happening coming up later today. One other thing I wanted to mention real quick. Sure. Speaking of transportation, is the news that are we actually going to get a bus to the airport finally? Right. Victoria Regional Transit Commission yesterday voted to expand service to have a more direct bus that goes sort of from downtown to the airport. We do already have a couple of routes that sort of meander their way to the airport, leaving the is it called the McTavish interchange? That interchange by the airport.
Right.
So you'd have to
North Saanich, I think.
Yeah, you have to bus to that exchange or somehow get yourself to that exchange. Then you take a bus that kind of winds its way to the airport.
That sounds like a lot of work.
That exists, but there's no direct one. So now come next year, so this is not until next year they're bringing this in. Don't expect to be able to take this anytime soon.
Okay.
They're going to make some subtle changes to Route 72, which already exists. It's one of the downtown to the ferries buses,
Okay.
but only early in the morning and late at night.
Yeah, because I'm in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, what do the cab companies have to say about this?
Well, yeah, there's that.
That's always the next shoe to drop, right? Because that's a lot of their bread and butter, right?
Because there's no other way. Because there's no way to do
agree.
this without driving yourself or taking a cab.
But we are not the first city to go through this.
Yeah.
I remember this happened in Ottawa, and we heard a lot from the cabbies after this because that was their bread and butter, going to and from, taking people to and from the airport. And if the bus was in place, then that could be problematic for them financially. So, well,
we'll see. But I think just heads up, bus 72, just first thing in the morning.
Correct.
And then a few at night. There's none in the middle of the day. You can still take that meandering route that I just mentioned
how long does
in the middle of the day.
meandering rate take us?
I don't know. I've never tried it.
I'm
but,
asking
I mean,
all these pertinent
yeah.
questions. I'm putting you on the spot here, I know.
It's all good. But yeah, 72 is the one. It'll change
At
up.
least it's a good option if you need it.
At least there's something you can take that goes direct there
Correct.
from downtown if you need it. And then it'll carry on, by the way, to the ferries afterwards. So it takes about a 10-minute detour. So it's going to extend how long it takes to take the 72 to the ferries by making the stop at the airport. But hey, people have been calling for this for years.
Agreed.
And they've at least found a way to eke it out of the system come September of next year.
And we just got to hope that there's no construction in the way as the bus goes.
Yeah. Yeah. Otherwise, maybe take a bike instead.
Give yourself plenty of time to get to the airport. What do we say now? Is it a day in advance we're supposed to get there?
24 hours, just hang out.
Pack a lunch.
The Spinnakers is lovely. 6:30 News is coming up next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 6:32 on Wednesday, May 13th. Windy today. The chance of showers we've had overnight that didn't really produce too much, not where we are, is going to clear up pretty quick, and then we're getting into just a cloudy, windy day. Full forecast to come. Right now, the news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
Thank you, Ryan. Good morning. Nurses here in this province have voted more than 98% in order to take strike action in their labor dispute as the discussion with the province drags on. The BC Nurses Union says voting over the weekend involved 50,000 of its 55,000 members strong, and the results show the group is united in their cause for higher wages and benefits. Union President Adrian Gear says interrupting patient care is the last thing nurses want to do, but it may happen if talks continue to stall.
It's already hard enough accessing care in this province. So I want to be clear, taking job action is not what we want to do. We are willing to go back to the table. We have signaled that to the employer. They have also signaled that they're willing to come back to the table. This is the final last chance, however.
Premier David Eby understands the nurses' frustration with government.
I would completely understand if every single nurse in the province was frustrated and wanted more recognition from government for the hard work they do for British Columbians. It is my commitment to those nurses and to British Columbians that we will sit at the table and we will reach an agreement that reflects and recognizes the hard work that nurses do for British Columbians every single day.
The two sides have been without a contract since the last deal expired in March of 2025. Court documents show a trial date has been set for former CFAX 1070 radio show host Al Farabee. A 4-day trial by judge has been scheduled to begin on March 8th, 2027. Farabee is charged with 2 counts of child luring, one under the age of 16, the other under the age of 18. Bell Media, which owns both CFAX 1070 and CTV, was not aware of the investigation into Farabee. He was suspended immediately once charges were laid and no longer works for the company. The charges against Farabee have not been tested in court. Canada's Secretary of State for Nature, Natalie Prevost, was in Victoria yesterday announcing 16 tree planting projects across the province. Many are province-wide in scope. Here on Vancouver Island, the Nootka Sound Watershed Society received just under $1 million to plant some 82,000 trees to restore over 22 hectares of salmon-bearing habitat impacted by forestry and landslides in the Gold River area. The Cedar Cultural Restoration in Duncan will get just over $1 million to plant over 8,000 trees of cultural significance. Well, the U.S. president is kicking off his summit with the president of China today, but the war in Iran is taking some of the attention, but not all. ABC's Lionel Moyes has details.
New intelligence shows Iran's military capabilities appear stronger than the Trump administration has claimed. The New York Times reports Iran still has operational access to 30 of its 33 missile sites along the strait and retains 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile.
And the Strait of Hormuz remains closed. Forensic experts have ruled the death of a man who walked onto the runway at Denver International Airport into the path of a departing jetliner was a suicide. But ABC's Jim Ryan says personal injury lawyers have found plenty of blame to go around.
The plaintiffs in a proposed $10 million lawsuit claim that the 12-foot-high perimeter fence around the airport was insufficient to keep 41-year-old Michael Mott out. Those passengers aboard Frontier Flight 4345 claim physical damages from smoke inhalation and evacuation injuries and psychological trauma from seeing Mott's body sucked into the right engine of the jet.
And in health news, health experts are urging women in the premenopausal stage to get their cardiovascular health checked. Following this new study, the American Health Association says women were 2 times more likely to have low cardiovascular health scores compared to women who are having regular menstrual cycles. This after analysis of nationwide data published in the American Health Journal. The senior author of this study says midlife women should think of perimenopausal period as a window of opportunity by not waiting until they reach menopause to start checking their blood pressure, cholesterol, and blood sugar levels. That's your news to 6:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. We're asking you if you think the idea of changing rules in Victoria to allow cooling equipment in local rental units and condos is a good one. 60% saying yes right now. You can vote at CFAX1070.com, Twitter X, and also the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best your news time is 6:38.
Thanks, Lisa. It's cloudy out there right now, a little
Sure
windy,
is.
but the chance of showers is about to flee our forecast, leaving us with just a windy day, maybe even some sunny breaks, highs to hit 18 degrees. So that is what you can expect out of this day. We'll give you the details coming up in a moment. Right now to the sports, where there is less than a month to go before the FIFA World Cup begins in the co-hosted countries of Canada, the U.S., and Mexico. And the BC government has yet to unveil how much it's going to cost for Vancouver to stage 7 of those soccer games. Premier David Eby yesterday says he's asking his team to provide those numbers before the end of the month.
It is a key piece of information for the public, but the legacies that will be created by this game, whether it's community sports fields or the improvements here to the stadium that will create lines of revenue, or the opportunity to develop and enhance relationships with business partners or tourists from around the world, is significant and hard to understate.
Last June, BC pegged the cost at between $532 and $624 million, including a $196 million upgrade for BC Place. Vancouver's first game, by the way, is June 13th. Toronto will host 6 of the games, and that begins June 12. Last night, we saw the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres tie everything up at 2 games apiece in their second-round NHL playoff series. The Sabres did that by a 3-2 win in Montreal last night, and there was a fluky goal off of Buffalo that deflected from the glass, bounced into the net. Montreal forward Cole Caulfield spoke about that stroke of bad luck.
Yeah, it sucks, honestly. I thought we played a pretty good game, honestly. Yeah, there's some things that we can always get better at, but to see a fluke goal like that go in, it's obviously not the bounce you want.
In the other game, the Vegas Golden Knights had a 3-2 win over the visiting Anaheim Ducks, and that means the Golden Knights take a second-round best-of-7 series lead, 3-2. Toronto Blue Jays wrap up their 3-game set against visiting Tampa Bay Rays tonight. Right-hander Dylan Cease on the mound. Yesterday, it was a 7-6 loss in 10 innings for the Jays, and that is your Sports 2640.
Show with Tony Joe.
Everyone wants to know about real estate. Is the market going up or down? Time to buy or sell? How can government programs and policies affect you? Hear from local experts on topics like appraisal, inspection, investment, and others on how to maximize your real estate sale.
Providing info on everything you needed to know about real estate. The Whole Home Show with Tony Joe. Saturdays at noon on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. What's happening on the roads? Well, not a lot at the moment. No crashes, no accidents to report. If you see anything, do text me at 71010. As always, around about this time in the morning, we start to see the volume delays build on the West Shore commute into downtown and the core area. We don't see anything unusual, just, some people getting on the roads this morning. We will have some unusual road work starting up in downtown Victoria today, starting today and then lasting for a while, I think until July. Some road work is going to start up on Government between Discovery and Pembroke, so watch out for delays there and directions from the flaggers who will be helping guide things around that slowdown. For BC Ferries, we got a one sail wait. 8 o'clock is the next boat with any vehicle deck space left as the 7 is full. And in the weather forecast, lots going on. So cloudy with this chance of showers, which is what we've been in all night, although we haven't really seen anything at least not where we are when it comes to rain, and it's about to leave us because we get into a mix of sun and cloud for the rest of the day. Wind becomes the major factor with gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour off the Wanda Fuca Strait by later this afternoon. High temperatures are still fairly warm. 18 degrees is the high. It's a little cooler than yesterday, but still decently warm but windy. And then tonight, a few clouds, no chance of showers, sorry. The chance of showers comes tomorrow. Tonight, it's a few clouds with wind. Lows down to 9. Tomorrow, it's a mix of sun and cloud, then the chance of showers by later in the day. And once it comes back, the chance of showers will stick with us for Friday and Saturday. Looks like, though, it could clear up on Sunday and Monday. Business news. North American stock markets just opening up. No results as of yet, so let's take a look at how yesterday closed. S&P TSX ended the day up 151 to 34,290. The Dow is up 56 to 49,760. The Canadian dollar at 72.9 cents US. And the barrel of crude oil at $102.52, so still over that $100 a barrel mark.
Let's get started.
Start your day informed and entertained. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
We love it when you join the conversation at 71010. Text us anytime and talk about the things we're talking about. We were mentioning the campfire ban for the coastal region of BC is going to be lifted in time for this long weekend. This texter at 71010 says, the on-again, off-again fire ban is confusing, especially when Environment Canada keeps talking about the lack of snowpack in the mountains and global warming. They should just put a blanket fire ban beginning May 1st and leave it in place until the end of September. That comes from Shirley.
And I understand, what Shirley's saying. However, for people who want to go, who are prudent with fire safety and who want to enjoy the wilderness, want to have a cheery campfire while they're out for the long weekend, that's tough. And so I think they're trying to be on the fence about this, keep everybody safe, but yet let us still, what do we call it, recreate? That's a new word. I get it. There's two sides to that story. And if you don't want to have a campfire, then it doesn't affect you. But for people who you go camping with your kids.
I do, yeah. Campfire's a big part of it.
Building it, teaching them the safety of it, putting the rocks around it, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
And that's great memories.
But I have heard that argument that should you just, at this point, do a blanket, predictable
that
ban?
Might come.
I don't know. Yeah, maybe. You could be onto something, listener. And then on a different topic, we were discussing the fact that come September of next year, Victoria Transit has found a way to eke out
right.
An airport bus by taking the existing 72, which right now goes downtown to the ferries.
It's a bit of a milk run, right?
Well, it's going to just take a 10-minute jog over to the side.
It's not bad.
But we did mention that there is an existing connection, which is those 80-somethings buses that leave from the McTavish interchange and then make their way around the neighborhood and then into the airport that way. And you asked me, how long does that take? And
Correct.
I said, I don't know. Luckily, our listeners know.
We have smart people, don't we?
Yeah, so at 71010, texter says that airport bus from McTavish takes 15 minutes max. So there you go.
Well, that's fine.
You got to get to the
you got to get
interchange.
So what do you take a cab
exchange first, or you could take another bus, I guess, and then wait for an exchange, or you could take a cab or get a drop off. Or there's ways.
Okay.
I think what people want though, they know that exists, but that's a lot of steps and a lot of time, and you've already got to get to the airport 3 hours ahead of time. And now you're taking a bus 2 hours ahead of time. So
when you're not from here and you're arriving, you need to know how to do that.
Yeah.
Right? If you don't know the lay of the land,
exactly,
you've got to do all the research to find it.
Being a city like Victoria, the capital of the province, and
not having people coming in,
and not having a direct bus link to our airport, I think has always been a sore spot. So this is what they're trying to do: take that 72 and in early in the morning and late at night only. It's not like in the middle of the day, adding a few airport stops. It's what they got so far for us, and it starts in September of next year.
Do you know why it's only sort of morning and evening?
I don't know. At least I don't know the answer to that.
We have all these questions.
They probably have an answer to that. I just don't know the answer.
We'll endeavor as we do.
At 6:47, here are the headlines with Lisa.
Well, stay in the same neighborhood. City Council deciding not to support a request to authorize a CRD loan of up to $14.2 million to fund a proposed indoor recreation facility in central Saanich. Council sought input from residents in the area about the idea, brought forward by the CRD's Peninsula Recreation Commission, recognizing that borrowing costs would be shared among Sydney, North Saanich, and central Saanich taxpayers. So that one's a no-go. Negotiations underway in China. The U.S. president landing in Beijing today for a highly anticipated summit with the leader of that country. Trump told reporters that trade, not the war with Iran, will be the main focus of their discussions. His administration hopes to establish a board of trade with China to address differences and prevent further trade conflicts. The visit comes at a delicate moment for the U.S. president, with his popularity affected by the continued run on war and rising inflation and fuel prices that comes with it. Trump's China trip comes not long after he slammed Canada for reaching an independent trade deal with that country. Now he's in the country making a deal himself. And Elon Musk is facing a new allegation as his lawsuit continues against OpenAI. Testifying in federal court yesterday, OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said Musk once said the company would be controlled by his children if he died. Musk later left the company and is now suing OpenAI over its decision to form a for-profit arm. And that is your headline news to 648.
Coming up next, researchers at Simon Fraser University, along with the Humans and Algorithms Listening for Orcas project, have got a new chunk of cash to forecast whale movements using AI. We're going to learn more about this next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX at 70 traffic and weather. It is 6:51 on a Wednesday morning. No crashes or accidents to report right now. No major issues other than usual volume delays at this time of the morning. Text me at 71010 if you see otherwise. For BC Ferries, it's a one sail wait. 7 is full of vehicle deck space. The 8 is your next available vessel, unless you're a foot passenger, in which case you're A-OK. And for the weather, it's going to turn to a chance of, the chance of showers is leaving us, is what I mean to say, and it's going to turn into a mix of sun and cloud for the rest of the day, but windy off the water, gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour if you're exposed to the Juan de Fuca Strait, highs to hit about 18 degrees cooler by the windy water.
It's all here. News, weather, traffic, and community events. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
All right, joining us right now to talk about how AI might help us track whale movements. I've got Ruth Joy on the line, an assistant professor at the School of Environmental Sciences and associate member of statistics at Simon Fraser University. It's Simon Fraser University and the Humans and Algorithms Listening for Orcas project that we're talking about here. Ruth Joy, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Hi, Ryan.
It's great to get you here. So this is kind of cool. What I'm trying to get my head around it, though. What is it you're trying to accomplish here? What do you need to do? And then we'll work out why AI is the right tool for it.
Yeah, okay. So we have a couple different kinds of ecotypes of killer whales, different kinds of killer whales, one that eats Chinook salmon and one that eats marine mammals, and both of them have status that they need to be protected under federal law, but we're particularly interested in the southern resident killer whales, which I'm sure your listeners know is the most endangered of our killer whales on the BC coast. And so we're trying to be able to detect them in real time, and one of the best ways to do that is through their vocalizations. So we're using AI to listen in real time and write algorithms to be able to detect which ecotype of killer whale we're listening to.
Okay, so you're listening to the sounds of the ocean. AI can kind of say, oh, that sounds like a transient whale's call, and that sounds like a southern resident killer whale's noises, and that sounds like something totally different. So doing that kind of thing?
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the first trick is to detect them amongst all the other things that make noises. Most things in the ocean make noise. And then the other is to figure out what it is that's making the noise.
Do we already have listening devices out there around the ocean?
Yeah, so there's the shipping lanes, as you can imagine, that the commercial vessels stay within as they're coming into port. And so there's a number of different hydrophones or listening stations along the pathway. And so we're going to use the existing hydrophones that are out there to listen in real time to the sounds and try to process that sound data, which is high volume data, and use these algorithms to detect the southern resident killer whales.
Oh, that's really cool. We've already got the listening happening. We just need something that can make sense of all of that noise, and that's where AI comes in. How big of a deal is this? Like, because AI is such a buzzword right now. It's in everything. People are talking about it as like this big revolutionary thing, and I guess this is another example of something that you probably couldn't have done before without it.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, you can do it with using basic statistical methods, but there's really has been a revolution in AI algorithms. So we're using deep learning models or neural nets to be able to train models to identify the southern residents, and they're quite as different dialects. So if you can imagine speaking two different languages, that's what we're listening for. So the difference between French and English, for example, it's where you can use large language models to tell, well, I'm sure you use ChatGPT or some of those large language models that are available to us now and have only just been made available to us. So we're using similar, not as much training data, unfortunately, as for those large language models, but the same concept of using computers to be able to tell differences between languages that killer whales are speaking.
It's actually kind of neat to think that we are decoding whale language in a sense. Like, that is just so cool.
Yeah, we don't know what they're saying.
but we can tell the accent.
They haven't told us that yet.
Yeah, we don't know what the words mean, but we at least know this is a southern resident killer whale dialect versus a different whale. Could this be expanded to other whales beyond these? Like, could we, I don't know, see what
sure.
throw gray whales in there and all of the others?
Yeah, so gray whales typically don't make that much sound, so they're trickier to, especially in the Salish Sea. They make sounds off of the west coast of Vancouver Island, so it might work better there. Humpbacks are very noisy. They're love to sing and practice their songs. They make social calls as well. They're also mimics, so they mimic southern residents' sounds. So they're kind of the whale that everyone hates in AI because they're a bit like starlings. If you know your birds at all, or your listeners do, they pick up fragments of other whales and put it into their vocalizations as well. So yeah, so that makes it a little trickier than just southern residents. It's keeping the humpbacks out of the detection algorithms as well.
Is this really a southern resident, or is some humpback playing with me here and pretending?
Yes.
That's so funny. I didn't know that. That's crazy. Okay, so once you've got the AI models working, trained up on what whale sounds like what, interpreting all this data, and now you can track them. You can say track the southern resident killer whales, which seems to be one of the big goals here. What do you do with that then? Why do we need to track them?
Yeah, so the idea is that it takes a long time to slow a commercial vessel down, and so they need to know well in advance when there might be a southern resident in the shipping lanes. And so the idea is to use statistical modeling to predict 2 or 3 hours ahead when the killer whales will be entering the commercial vessel lanes, or could be. So there's a potential overlap in where the whales are, where the ships are. And so the idea behind it is that we can tell the pilots in good enough time that they can slow their vessels down, and by slowing the vessels down, it reduces the underwater noise. And so that protects, in a sense, at least in the federal law sense, it protects the habitat by reducing the amount of noise that's emitted into the water by a slower propeller.
Well, that is such a cool project. Thank you so much for telling me about it. Ruth Joy, assistant professor at the School of Environmental Science at Simon Fraser University, associate member of statistics as well. The Humans and Algorithms Listening for Orcas project, a new chunk of cash, by the way. So this is all powered by a $1 million funding injection that you got there. And this is what you're doing with it. And thank you so much for telling us about it.
Thank you very much for having me.
All right. I think that's just kind of neat. I mean, obviously important stuff to be able to keep whales safe in those shipping lanes and maybe finding a way to kind of get ahead of that. But just the idea that we have the ability to decode whale accents. Maybe we don't know what they're saying, but we can tell which whales are which. I think that's kind of fun. We'll take a break. CFAX 1070, 7 o'clock news is next.
CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
It's 7:01. Good morning. Wednesday, May 13th is here. It's going to be windy, but the chance of showers is starting to leave us. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment. Right now, the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
With the change in the weather, cooler temperatures, cloudy conditions, chance of rain on the forecast, the campfire ban is being lifted at noon Friday. The Coastal Fire Center crews say this is due to the cooler temperatures and increase in humidity. Category 2 and Category 3 open fires remain banned. This prohibition applies to all areas within the Coastal Fire Center that are outside municipal boundaries. Municipalities may impose different bans based on conditions in the area, so there may still be a ban in your area. You have to check ahead before you light a fire. The Victoria Regional Transit Commission has voted to expand service to the airport through a pilot without reducing service. to residents of Sydney. Route 72 is what will change, with select early morning and late night trips serving the airport. Routes 88 and 87 will continue to provide daytime service to the airport and residents in the area. The changes will begin as early as September, possibly early next year, pending on the arrival of 39 new double-decker buses. The Commission says funding for the changes are included in the provincial funding ask for the upcoming year. Staff will analyze options to improve the connections through the route, particularly on Sunday evenings. Airport-bound riders will pay the standard fare, at least for when the service begins. That could change moving forward. The BC Nurses Union has voted overwhelmingly in favor of strike action as its labor dispute continues with the province. About 50,000 members took part in voting over the weekend. 98.2% support job action in case talks don't progress. Union President Adrian Gear says the nurses have been frustrated for a while by the employer, who refused to offer any substantive contract improvements, despite the job being a critical part of healthcare.
This vote does not mean nurses are going on strike tomorrow. What it does mean is that nurses across British Columbia are united more than ever before, and we are prepared to do what it takes to secure a fair contract, a contract that respects us.
Premier David Eby says he hears the message loud and clear.
I think in my conversations with nurses is that they are feeling a huge amount of the strain of our healthcare system and an issue that is present not just here in British Columbia, but across the country and across North America, of a shortage of healthcare workers. It is the nurse who is the person who is on the line for that frontline patient care day in, day out, night in, night out.
Agreed. Nurses have been asking for higher wages and benefits, as well as measures to address increasing job challenges due to ongoing staffing shortages. East of us in Toronto, a doctor there is pushing back against a report into AI note-taking tools that were released by Ontario's Auditor General. Shelley Spence's report found that AI tools provide incorrect or incomplete information, and evaluators finding serious transcript errors generated by 20 different programs. Dr. Michael Warner is the Chief Medical Information Officer at Michael Garron Hospital. He says these programs only work when doctors check the notes that are taken from them.
Doctors are duty-bound by the college to review all notes for accuracy before they're sent out to other physicians or colleagues. I would say 100% of my notes are inaccurate, and that's why I read them every day, to make sure that they're accurate before they go out. So I think this is a really important tool. When used appropriately, can save doctors time and also allows for better doctor-patient interactions.
The Auditor General didn't recommend ditching the technology altogether, but said it's important that they will continually be testing it. And with water in focus here on Vancouver Island, CTV Vancouver Island's Brendan Strain continues his series on our water. The focus this time, Comox Valley.
The CVRD, we actually have 5 different water systems that we manage.
Each one fed by a different water source, the largest being Comox Lake. 3 of those 5 are highly dependent on snowpack levels in the alpine of the Comox Valley, which is currently sitting at extremely low levels.
The May 1st numbers coming in at 27% of normal.
We are definitely concerned.
On May 1st, the Comox Valley Regional District, much like other communities on Vancouver Island, implemented its Stage 1 water restrictions. In a normal year, the district will go to Stage 2 on July 1st.
This year seems likely that we'll end up accelerating that timeline a bit.
Unless the Comox Valley experiences a wet January, it expects to go into Stage 3 by the end of the summer, and potentially even Stage 4. The CVRD says that has never been implemented before, outside of an infrastructure malfunction, such as a water main break.
And that is your news to 7:06. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you like the idea of changing the rules locally to allow cooling equipment in local rental units and condos? So think window air conditioner to start. 60% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or in the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa, best news time is 7:07.
Thanks, Lisa. Good morning. We are heading into a day that will be a mix of sun and cloud. Very windy off the Juan de Fuca Strait, but our chance of showers that's been with us overnight and hasn't really produced too much in the way of rain. That should be leaving our forecast pretty much as of now. Who knows? I don't want to say it too early because then it'll rain. But it does look like we're out of the risk of any rain and we're just into a dry but windy day. If you're getting out there and wondering how to prepare for it, and all the details of the long-range forecast are to come. But right now, let's get to the sports, where in the NHL, we saw the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres get tied up at 2 games apiece after the Sabres evened things up with a 3-2 win in Montreal last night. And thanks in part to a fluky goal that bounced off the glass and into the net. The best-of-7 series shifts to Buffalo for Game 5 tomorrow night. Game 6 is back in Montreal on Saturday. Now, for the other matchup, Vegas Golden Knights with a 3-2 win over the visiting Anaheim Ducks. The Golden Knights now leading the second-round best-of-7 series 3-2. Well, lots of hype about the World Cup of Soccer coming to Vancouver yesterday. The BC government unveiled a host of renovations at BC Place as Vancouver prepares to host 7 of the games during this summer's FIFA World Cup. Premier David Eby says the soccer matches will have a remarkable effect on the province.
What that translates into is 350,000 soccer fans are going to be here taking in the games, visiting Vancouver. In the 5 years following, we're expecting more than 1 million people to come and visit from out of province, inspired by the event. All told, we're expecting about $1 billion in economic impact on BC's economy coming from this world-class sporting event.
Eby says his government does plan to release the full cost of hosting the games before the end of this month. Toronto also hosting 6 World Cup games. Dozens of others will be played in the U.S. and in Mexico. For the Toronto Blue Jays, they're wrapping up a 3-game series against the visiting Tampa Bay Rays tonight. Right-hander Dylan Cease will be on the mound for the Jays, who lost yesterday. They were trailing 5-0 heading into the bottom of the 7th inning. Then, in the end, after going to 10 innings, lost 7-6. That's your sports to 7:09. CFAX 1070 Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty Foods thanks everybody who helped raise over $45,000 to support the new BC Cancer Centre in Nanaimo by purchasing specially marked pots at Island Grocers. Over to the traffic and weather. So far, we are looking at a day that's very typical. We've got no crashes, no accidents, no unusual delays from the West Shore into Victoria. It's kind of getting into the thick of it right now. The West Shore commute is certainly slow, but not any different than a normal Wednesday, at least as far as I can tell. If you see otherwise, text me at 71010. We'll have that paving work back on Blanchard, northbound for Bay to Hillside, where they're restricting it all the way down to 1 lane. Then for the other downtown construction that's starting up, government around about Pembroke, they have obstructions there, and it's going to start today and then last right through until July. So that area is going to be a construction zone now on Government Street. Watch out for the flaggers directing people around. Let's talk about the weather for a second. We've got a cloudy day, some sunny breaks expected, And we are leaving the chance of showers behind us and moving into a windy day. Highs up to 80 kilometers an hour, and the high temperatures will get up to about 18 degrees. A few clouds overnight, lows down to 9. Mix of sun and cloud to start the day tomorrow, but then a chance of showers is back with us by the afternoon. Chance of showers through Friday and Saturday, but the back half of the long weekend now looks like it could clear up. Sunday and Monday, Monday being Victoria Day, looking like the sunshine and some clouds might be with us, but the chance of showers is getting out of the forecast by then, at least for the long-range forecast right now, which are always subject to change. Texter at 71010 says, hey, could you please give us the local temperatures? Yes, I think I forgot that last weather forecast, so let's get to that. In Oak Bay, 13 degrees right now. Colwood, 12 degrees right now. And the official temperature at the Victoria International Airport is 14 degrees. On the markets, let's take a look at how things are shaping up. We are starting down across the board, it seems. S&P TSX down 212 to 34,077. The Dow in New York down 243 to 49,516. NASDAQ is up 31, though, to 26,119. S&P 500 down 11 points to 7,389. Canadian dollar at 73 cents US even.
Don't attempt your morning commute without us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Lots to come on the show this hour. We've been talking about the nurses now armed with a very overwhelming strike vote. What is that going to mean for healthcare? We are talking to the BC Nurses Union at the end of the hour, so don't go anywhere if you're curious about how this story could impact you. And what are the issues that the BC Nurses Union have in their contract negotiations with the BC government? We're going to follow that story coming up at the end of the hour. We're also going to be checking in on our very own commuter challenge. We got a team in the Go By Bike Week commuter challenge this year. Mm-hmm. Today's the day, so maybe you'll see some of those cyclists racing the cars into the legislature. That's the destination this year. So people will be leaving various spots, converging on the legislature, seeing whether it's the bike or the car that wins.
Now, we have wind today. Do you think that's going to help?
We have wind, but
we have wind.
Yeah, maybe if it's a tailwind helping push the bike along.
That's my point. Boss Brad is on the bike.
Yeah,
so is that going to help him?
We're going to talk to Boss Man Brad from CFAX, who is on the bicycle.
Correct. So is that going to help him, do you think?
Yeah, we'll see. It depends on which way it's going.
Headwinds.
Is it
government headwinds?
Is it headwinds or tailwinds? We'll see. Headwinds are certainly one of the things governments love to talk about nowadays.
It's the catchphrase. Yeah. It's taken the place of pivoting.
But anyway, so we got Brad on the bike, and then Josh from the Josh and Jade Show will be in the car. Who will win today? We're going to set that up for you coming up later this hour. But first, so excited that this came together. We were going to talk about this earlier this week, and we've managed to pull it together for today. The West Shore RCMP talking about all of those devices, whether it's the e-bike or the e-scooter or the e-dirt bike, all of these things. Micro-mobility is sometimes the term used for this. There are a bunch of different rules for all of these things that not everybody's always aware of.
That's true.
And we are going to talk to West Shore RCMP about all those rules. Where can you ride them? Which ones are actually allowed and which ones aren't? How fast should you be able to go on these things? Do you need to wear a helmet? How old do you have to be? All of these things coming up in just a few moments as we get into that conversation next. But first, here are the headlines with Lisa.
Checking BC wildfire status. I spoke too soon when I said we haven't had any fires on Vancouver Island since Friday. Well, here we are. We have a new fire that is considered out of control at this point. It was discovered this morning. It's just under a hectare in size. Where is it located? Just to the east of Port Alberni, actually sitting just north of Highway 4, the Alberni Highway, between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. So we'll bring you new information on that as it becomes available. BC wildfire status says there's 32 active fires province-wide. 11 are considered out of control. There's been 11 new fires spark in the past 24 hours, of course, including this new fire on Vancouver Island, just under a hectare in size. And of course, just ahead of the long weekend, the campfire ban is being lifted at noon Friday. The Coastal Fire Center says it's due to our cooler temperatures and an increase in humidity. And they do say that Category 2 and 3 open fires remain banned, and municipalities may have different bans in place depending on conditions in that immediate area, so do need to check ahead before you light that match. There's uncertainty on the future of the avalanche control along a section of Highway 1 in eastern BC, as a federal agreement is set to expire next year. Canada's military has for decades worked with Parks Canada to clear snow in the area of Glacier National Park. That includes Rogers Pass, which is a major link between BC and Alberta. The deal expected to expire next summer. And the Armed Forces says it will not renew due to modernization priorities and plans to sell off its legacy artillery systems. Parks Canada says it's continuing discussions with public safety and maintaining traffic control, of course, as their top priority. And Anthropic representatives will meet with the U.S. Committee of Homeland Security on their new Mythos AI model. The model is seeing only limited release to companies and organizations Anthropic considers trusted partners. This is due to the advanced capabilities and its ability to exploit security flaws. The closed-door briefing comes as lawmakers consider the effect of AI on national security. And that is your news to 717.
Electric bikes, electric scooters, all of those micro-mobility devices. What are the rules that we need to know about those? Wes Shore, CMP, joining us with that next. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps. They're designed for comfort. The South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. No traffic problems beyond just the West Shore commute. I don't have any crashes or accidents reported. If you do see something, though, text me at 71010. We have at BC Ferries, no sailing waits right now. 8 o'clock sailing coming up with room left on it for vehicles. And for the weather forecast, that's where things get a little complicated. So we're getting through the chance of showers. It looks like, unless some final gasp of small shower activities dusts us, we're looking like it's going to dry up now for the rest of the day. We do have a mix of sun and cloud and a lot of wind, though. 80-kilometer-an-hour gusts off the Juan de Fuca Strait at their peak this afternoon, so quite breezy. Highs of 18 degrees, except cooler by the water. Then tonight, that wind continues, so a windy night, lows down to 9. Tomorrow, we start with a mix of sun and cloud, but then we get into a chance of showers again by later in the day. Highs of 15, so the coolest day of the week is kind of Thursday, also Friday, about the same. Highs around 15 degrees. With that chance of showers rolling in Thursday afternoon, sticking with us on Friday and Saturday, so we might see some precipitation. Kind of like how last night we might have seen some precipitation, but it doesn't look like much fell, at least where we are. In Esquimalt Broadcasting, things seemed very dry this morning. How about where you are? Did you see any rain? It's 14 degrees at the airport.
Thanks for starting your day with us. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Well, are you seeing more things like e-scooters, e-bikes, and other e-devices on our streets? Well, the West Shore RCMP seem to have seen that uptick, and they are issuing a reminder about the rules of the road for those devices. Corporal Nancy Sagar with the West Shore RCMP joining us on the line right now. Hello, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me this morning.
Great to get you here. So you are seeing more of these things, eh?
We are, yes. And I think in particular what we're seeing more of is the e-scooters. I personally believe it's probably because it's the most affordable out of all the sort of micro-mobility, bikes that are out there. The e-scooter seems to be on the rise.
Tons of those things. But there are different rules and regulations, and in some cases, they're not even allowed. So there's a lot to unpack here. So let's go through what we need to know about all of these e-devices and how to be safe with them and follow the rules.
Yeah, for sure. So how about we start off with e-scooter, because that seems to be kind of on the rise here. Okay. So e-scooters are only allowed in communities participating in the pilot project, and I'm not sure if everyone's quite aware of that. So on Vancouver Island, and it's great if you go to actually the BC government website, because it'll lay out all the areas that you can ride your e-scooter on. So here in the West Shore, you can ride your e-scooter in Colwood, Langford, and View Royal. The municipalities of Highlands and Metchosin are not a part of the pilot project, so you cannot ride your e-scooter there. So it's important to understand where you can and cannot ride it. Next thing I would say is you need to be 16 years or older in order to ride an e-scooter. They can only be maximum 25 kilometers an hour. That's the maximum speed that they can go. And they can only weigh up to 45 kilograms. You must wear a helmet with them, and you need to follow the rules of the road, just like how a bike would. So you're going to be riding in the bike lane.
Now, I want to go back for a second to that pilot project story that you talked about, how, in BC, not everywhere allows them. Municipalities have to opt in, I guess, to this pilot project. And for the West Shore, you said, just to clarify, it's Langford, Colwood, and View Royal is where you're allowed to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. So yeah, communities have to opt in. So if you're curious about where you can and can't ride, we highly encourage you visit the government BC website. Just type in e-scooter, where can I ride, and you'll be able to click on it and see the list.
Now, what happens if you, because you're West Shore RCMP, you will be policing areas that don't allow them, are not in the pilot project. Is this something you actually enforce? Like, will you pull somebody over if you see them on an e-scooter in the Highlands?
Yeah, absolutely. We will, for sure. So the rules of the road apply here. The Motor Vehicle Act applies, and you could be fined. Your device could also be impounded. You could face penalties just like any other unlicensed driver could. So it's important to understand where you can't ride and then follow those rules.
Nancy, I have an e-scooter, Segway 9-Bot, and its max is 30. And on the Galloping Goose, there actually, I think, is signage saying that 30 is the maximum speed you can do. I was under the impression that it was 30, not 25. Does that vary between communities?
I think it varies between, so Galloping Goose is not a roadway. Right. So I think that's the major difference there.
Okay, so that would be for e-bikes we're talking about then, for maximum speed. Okay.
Yeah, so maximum speed is going to be e-bikes, 32 kilometers an hour for an e-bike. For an e-scooter, it's 25 kilometers an hour. So there's a difference there. It seems slight, 7 kilometers doesn't seem like a lot, but on an e-scooter it is. So again, just knowing the difference between, e-scooters, you're only allowed 25 kilometers an hour. E-bikes, if it's a standard e-bike and you're 16 years and older, you can go up to 32 kilometers an hour. If you're between the ages of 14 and 16, you're only allowed to ride a light e-bike, and it can only go up to 25 kilometers an hour.
Right.
Oh, so there's an age difference there for e-bikes.
There's an age. Yeah, there's an age difference for e-bikes. And I think that's designed really with safety in mind. 32 kilometers an hour, it's quite fast. I mean, if you're telling me you have your own e-bike there, so I'm sure
I have an e-scooter.
E-scooter.
Yeah.
So I'm sure, even just going down the trail at probably 20 probably feels fast. And another good safety point with e-scooters to keep in mind is that they're lower to the ground than a bike would be. So any small divot in the roadway or like a pothole or a rock that you go over, you've got the potential there of really knocking yourself off of that thing. We've seen it happen.
Yeah, it's not the kind of thing that you want to be anywhere on rough terrain for sure.
Exactly. And so really just even you don't want to go that fast on it either, just because of that, right? The faster you are, the harder you will fall and further you'll fall if you do end up taking a tumble. So it's important to follow that rule.
I'm seeing a lot without proper gear, and I know legally the only thing that you have to wear is a bicycle helmet. I'm also seeing a lot of children. I'm seeing a lot of under 16 on them. So is it hard to police?
It is, yeah. It's. I'm not going to say it doesn't come without its challenges. I mean, when you're let's just go with the e-scooter example again, because that's what we're seeing a lot of as well. We've gotten lots of complaints from our municipalities of seeing young people appearing to be under the age of 16 on e-scooters. And so our message to parents would be, you need to understand what the rules are here before you're buying these items for your children. They can be very dangerous for people who are younger, which is why those rules are in place. And also, frankly, it's illegal. You're not allowed to drive it unless you're 16 years or older. So we could ticket the parent in that case. It's something that, it's not something we want to do, but if it comes down to it, it could happen. We can also take that e-scooter and confiscate it if it's not being driven in a manner that's compliant with the road rules. That's something that can also happen.
I want to just recap a few of those and then get to at least one more with RCMP Corporal Nancy Sagar. So just to recap, so e-scooters, the scooters specifically, only the communities with the pilot project is where they're allowed. They're not allowed everywhere, so make sure you know before you go that you're allowed to ride it, and you have to be 16 plus, and you can't go faster than 25 kilometers an hour on the roads. For the e-bikes, so the bicycles, they can go anywhere. They're allowed anywhere. They don't have that pilot project thing, as long as they're where, normal bikes could ride. And you do have that age limit of 14 plus for the light e-bikes, 16 plus for the standard normal ones. And then there are other bikes that are electric that are a bit more robust. There's the e-dirt bikes and e-mini motorcycles that exist. Now, I'm seeing here that those are just not allowed on our roadways at all.
Yeah, so the e-dirt bike is not allowed on roads, sidewalks, or bike lanes. They're not even legal. There's not really an age for people to be on them on public roads. So it's not like an e-scooter. It's not like an e-bike. So essentially, they're not legal. It's
right.
kind of a hard. Yeah. It's kind of like a carte blanche. If we catch you, we're gonna probably take it.
Okay.
And you'll likely wind up with some fines.
Gotcha. Because I guess you could take those off on like dirt bike trails or something somewhere, maybe, but they're not on the road.
Exactly. Yeah. So private property, a lot of people out here own private property. Sure. It's much like a quad in that regard. You could probably ride it around on your property, but it's not permitted on roadways.
Well, I think that's all very fascinating because I think a bunch of people don't know that there's these rules and restrictions and that you could get pulled over, fined, ticketed, maybe even get your bike confiscated if you don't do it properly when it comes to these things known as micromobility devices, electronic bicycles, scooters, the dirt bikes, all of these things, different rules. Fascinating to unpack all of that here. Thank you so much for doing it. And if people want to find out more, I think you've got some more information available, don't you?
Yes, we do. Yeah. So you can head over to our website and we'll be putting up some information on where you can ride, how old you need to be, how fast you can go. We've already shared some of that information too. So, and again, if you're looking for even more information, head on over to the government BC website and just type in, e-scooter or e-bike and you'll find the whole list of rules there.
That's West Shore RCMP Corporal Nancy Sagar. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Have a good day.
7:30 News next.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but
the top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070. CFAX Victoria.
An iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
It's here.
CFAX 1070.
7:33 on Wednesday, May 13th. A little late for the news, so let's get right to it. There's so much to learn about e-scooters and e-bikes and all those things. There's a lot to unpack. Anyways, here's the news with Lisa.
We have a new fire to unpack, too, unfortunately. BC wildfire status shows 32 active fires province-wide, 12 listed as out of control, 11 new fires starting in the last 24 hours. And one of those, discovered this morning, is burning mid-island in the usual spot, just north of Highway 4, situated between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. It has torched about a hectare of land so far, so keep you apprised of any changes with that fire. The other change that's happening is that campfire ban that's in place is being lifted noon Friday. The Coastal Fire Center said it's due to cooler temperatures and increasing humidity, so they're giving it a go, at least for the long weekend. Category 2 and Category 3 open fires remain banned. And municipalities may impose different bans based on the conditions in that immediate area, so you always need to check ahead. Local fire department will have the information for you. Central Saanich Police confirmed that a traffic-related charge against Corporal Phil DiBattista has been dismissed by the Provincial Court of BC. The charges stem from a May 21st, 2024 on-duty incident where a cyclist was hit by a marked Central Saanich Police vehicle that was on Wallace Drive. The service considered the matter closed at this point. There will not be further comments on the specifics of the case. The BC Nurses Union says an overwhelming 98.2% of its nearly 55,000 members have voted in favor of job action. The union announcing those results after a 4-day vote, after reaching the impasse with the province last month. Wages, benefits, working conditions, all main sticking points. BC Premier David Eby has said he's confident his government will find a path forward with the union.
I remain optimistic that we'll reach an agreement with the nurses. Our nurses are a cornerstone of the healthcare system. There's really not a British Columbian that hasn't had a positive experience with a nurse at some point in their life. And we know how critical they are to holding our healthcare system together.
Nurses are considered an essential service under the Labour Relations Board. That means the upcoming job action will be limited so patient care is not affected. The U.S. president arriving in Beijing for his meeting with the leader of China. America's deepening standoff with Iran is on the agenda.
There are new questions about whether the White House is overstating the damage done to Iran's missile capabilities. The New York Times reporting Iran still has retained roughly 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile and has restored operational access to 30 of the 33 missile sites it maintains along the Strait of Hormuz, potentially threatening vessels transiting the waterway.
This as the strait remains closed. Regular fuel prices did drop slightly again across Greater Victoria gas stations. Regular liter will cost anywhere from $2.03 to $2.20 a liter today. The price of diesel anywhere from $2.31 to $2.47. We are hearing that gas prices are going up to 5 cents or so out east of us, so that change may come to our doorstep. And nearly half of all telecom customers say they won't use AI for any of their phone or internet service needs.
That's the upshot from new global research by Ipsos Canada, which was shared Tuesday during a presentation at the 25th Annual Canadian Telecom Summit in Toronto. The role of AI in telecom, from network development to customer service, is one of the key themes at this year's conference, which wraps up today. The research firm's Cameron McFadden says satisfaction is lacking among telecom customers in their usage of AI, but there is an opportunity for companies to improve. He says customers generally still prefer to speak with a human when dealing with a complex issue. However, many are open to using AI to research plan pricing and help them decide whether to switch providers. Rob Westgate, The Canadian Press.
That's your CFAX News to 7:37. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning was summer on the way and the temperatures that come with it. Do you think the idea of changing rules in Victoria to allow cooling equipment in local rental units and condos is a good one? 60% say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. Emily Sebastian News Time, 7:38.
Let's take a quick look at what you can expect in the weather today. The chance of showers is starting to leave us, but the wind is really picking up today. A windy day with mostly overcast skies, possibly some sunny breaks, but it should be dry. So if you're wondering what to pack what to wear, what to bring, just know we're through the rain, but we're into the wind. Not that we saw much rain. I was actually kind of excited to have my garden get watered, but I didn't get any. Did you?
No, I didn't get watered either.
Okay, nobody got watered. Well, what's happening?
What to wear, though?
What's happening in the sports? Craig Berube is out as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The NHL team missed the playoffs this year for the first time in a decade, and Berube, who spent 2 years in the position, is now out. No immediate word on his replacement. On the ice, the second-round NHL playoff series between Montreal and Buffalo is down to a best-of-3. The Sabres pulled even with a road victory last night. The Colorado Avalanche have a chance to eliminate Minnesota tonight. The Avs are up 3-1 with Game 5 on tap in Denver. And the Professional Women's Hockey League is expanding. Hamilton and Las Vegas will join the league next season. That brings the number of teams in the league to 11 after the league announced the addition of Detroit just last week. And the slumping Toronto Blue Jays will try to salvage the finale of a 3-game series against the Tampa Bay Rays tonight. Dylan Cease gets the start for the Jays. He was a loss yesterday for Toronto in the 10th inning. That's your sports to 7:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. By the way, the whole morning show brought to you by Coastal Heat Pumps. For a comfortable home no matter the season, big savings on your heating bill. Talk to Coastal Heat Pumps, designed for comfort, the South Island's Elite Plus Fujitsu Air Stage dealer. On the roads, we have a fairly typical looking commute from the West Shore into Victoria. No crashes or accidents. It's about a 45-minute drive from the Royal Bay area of Colwood into downtown Victoria, as an example of how things are looking. But yeah, no crashes or accidents. New road work downtown, though. Government near Pembroke, starting today and then lasting until July. They're going to have road work there and flaggers and a slowdown. Paving work continues on Blanchard northbound from Bay to Hillside with it squeezed down into one lane. No sailing rates at BC Ferries. And now over to the weather, where it's going to be mostly cloudy today, a few sunny breaks. Wind becomes the major factor. Gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour off the Wandafuka Strait by this afternoon. Highs up to 18 degrees. Those winds continue overnight with a low down to 9, but we don't see the chance of showers return until later tomorrow. And then it sticks around for Friday and Saturday as we start the Victoria Day long weekend. However, it's now looking like Sunday and Monday might clear up and we could get some sunny breaks. Right now for the temperatures at the airport, the official temperature is 14 degrees right now. If you are in downtown Victoria, it is 13 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto down 94 points to 34,196. The Dow in New York is down 141 to 49,619. Canadian dollar at 73 cents US even, which is down just a fraction of a cent from yesterday's close.
In the kitchen, in the car, and at the office. Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Take us with you. Listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, Go Buy Bike Week is coming up at the end of May and lasting from May 30th and then the week onwards. But today, things kind of get started with the Commuter Challenge. And CFAX 1070 has a team racing in today's commuter challenge. Boss man Brad will be on the bicycle, and he's joining us in the studio right now with his carbs ready. Are you carb loading?
You got to fuel up before you go, right? You need some energy.
You've got a banana.
I am racing a car, so I need to get the potassium in and a little bit of sugars to get going here. But nice to see you guys this morning.
Okay, so you got the banana, you got the helmet. You are ready to be our cyclist versus our driver, who is none other than Josh from the Josh and Jade Afternoon Show. He's going to be driving. You're going to be biking, and we're in Esquimalt. So you got to go from Esquimalt to where? What's the route here?
We're racing to the legislature. It's put on by Capital Bike, and it's the annual commuter challenge. And I know you guys have done this in the past, but this is only our second one doing it from here in Esquimalt. So a bit of a different experience going down Esquimalt Road. I've got bike lanes the whole way, which should be an advantage and definitely a perk to go across the bridge and then Wharf Street. And Josh has to sit at traffic lights, maybe dodge a little construction, and then find parking. So it should be pretty easy to get there before a car does, but that's kind of the point of this whole thing, is showing people how accessible this city is for bike riders and to commute in the morning, which you guys are both well experienced with.
What's your top speed going to be?
Oh, good question.
And can you admit to that?
I'm Bailey next door did this last year for us for Bell Media, and I think she was under 11 minutes or 11 and change. So that's my goal. If I can get from here to the ledge and beat Bailey's time, that'll give me bragging rights for the next year.
I think you'll do it.
So here's the thing. The Bay Street Bridge is still a mess trying to get out of like the Esquimalt Vic West area into downtown. So I am going to bet right here, hands down, the bicycle wins this challenge based on the traffic chaos that Josh is going to be faced with.
Though I have driven this exact route with Josh to an event before on the ledge lawn. This man knows his Esquimalt back roads.
Okay, so he might have some secret routes.
He might have an advantage to get off of Esquimalt Road. He knows this place like the back of his hand. So I am a little nervous that way.
And what's he driving?
He's driving the Virgin Radio van, so he will be well noticeable out there.
Right.
Top speed on that thing.
Maybe 20? Yeah.
Isn't there a limiter? I think there's a limiter on it.
I think so, yeah.
It's the Go By Bike Week Commuter Challenge today. So this is one of the teams, but a bunch will be trying to prove that the bicycle is actually not a bad way to get around. We want to find out who wins, though. So do you mind checking back in with us after it's all done?
Yeah, I will be definitely phoning after I win in about an hour or so.
Okay. Well, enjoy the banana, the potassium, and
Thanks,
everything,
guys.
and we'll talk soon.
Thanks, guys.
At 7:45, now with the headlines, here's Lisa.
Thank you. Good morning. BC's public safety minister says extortion cases have declined in recent months, but combating the crisis is the government's top priority for safety. Nina Krieger says police, along with the Canada Border Service Agency, has made meaningful progress in holding extortionists accountable. She made the comments in an online roundtable discussion involving several police officials, including RCMP Deputy Commissioner Dwayne McDonald. He says there's been an overall drop in extortion-related cases in the province, but the coordinated effort against law enforcement agencies across law enforcement agencies in Canada, that is, and internationally as well, is necessary to keep up this momentum. 4.0 earthquake. Shaker recorded off the coast of northern BC yesterday. Happened around 1:35 yesterday afternoon at a depth of about 10 kilometers. It was lightly felt on the east side of Haida Gwaii. The agency says despite it being felt, there was no reports of damage or any wave. It comes after a 4.1 quake did strike off the west coast of Haida Gwaii on Sunday. And the operator of the cruise ship at the center of the hantavirus outbreak told the AP that it does expect to know by the end of the week if the vessel involved will keep its schedule for the coming months. Oceanwide Expeditions previously indicated it would. The Dutch-flagged MV Hondius was listed on the company's website as scheduled to leave on a cruise late May. That would take it to the Arctic for a series of cruises throughout the summer. These are high-end cruises at about $15,000 a pop. 3 of the ship's passengers, of course, died in an outbreak that was first confirmed earlier this month when the vessel was in the Atlantic. In all, there's been 9 confirmed and 2 suspected cases of hantavirus in this outbreak. And that's your news to 7:47.
Well, in the news, more than 98% of unionized nurses in this province have voted to strike after negotiations over benefits, pay, and staffing shortages hit an impasse. What does this mean for us? What does it mean for the healthcare system? And what does it mean for the nurses? We're going to talk about that with the BC Nurses Union president next, right after traffic and weather.
Developing political story, a big doozy.
Vashi Capellos.
What started as a dull day is anything but.
The top newsmakers.
Your go-to political debrief. Daily.
What is really going on?
The breaking news.
Just moments ago.
And the entertaining analysis and debate to follow.
I don't think you can sugarcoat it. It's an issue.
It's not true, guys. Yeah.
Vashi Capellos.
There is a greater plan here.
Vashi Capellos. Weekdays 9 a.m. to 11.
Bigger picture politically, which is
on CFAX 1070.
CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty's thanks everybody who helped raise over $45,000 to support the new BC Cancer Centre in Nanaimo by purchasing those specially marked pots at Island Grocers. Let's take a look at the roads. No crashes or accidents still this morning. Pretty good when it comes to that, although we do have a lot of construction downtown. The paving on Blanchard northbound from Bay until Hillside, where they got it all squeezed down into one lane. New road work at Government near Pembroke, which starts today and then lasts for a while. It's going to be on until July, they say, so watch out for flaggers and obstructions. Government Street coming into town. Now, for the weather forecast today, we got clouds. We've got a mix of sun and cloud eventually, and a lot of wind off the water, with gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour expected from the Juan de Fuca Strait today. Highs to hit 18 degrees. A bit cooler if you're by the windy Juan de Fuca Strait. But that chance of showers we had overnight that didn't really produce too much, at least not where I am, that is now clearing out of the forecast. Still a small chance we could see something, but otherwise, mostly it's all about the wind now. Right now, it's 14 degrees.
Ryan and Lisa. Mornings on CFAX 1070. Remember, you have us in the palm of your hand. For listeners on the go, listen live on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, it doesn't mean they're going on strike right away, but 98% of unionized nurses have voted to strike, or at least arming themselves with that strike vote. What does it all mean, and what's going on? What does it mean for BC's healthcare system? Adrian Gear is the BC Nurses Union president and is joining us on the line right now. Thank you so much for being here, and good morning to you.
Good morning.
All right, so 98%, that is an overwhelming mandate. I mean, you often get high numbers when there's a dispute like this, but what do you make of that number?
Well, it was actually 98.2%.
Oh, wow, even better.
And I think the other story here is that, over 50,000 nurses voted. So huge engagement. Clearly, the working conditions of BC's nurses is impacting the profession. And so overwhelming support to back our bargaining committee that's been working hard since October 21st, trying to negotiate a deal. We're just not getting where we need to go. And so this was the next step. I also want to add, this is taking a strike vote and even considering job action isn't something that the union has done in over 25 years. So this really is unprecedented.
Now, I want to talk about the sticking points and where things go from here in a second. But first off, just because I think a lot of the folks listening right now might be thinking, what does this mean for me and my access to the healthcare system? Could we address that a little bit? What does this mean right now, and what could this mean if things escalate?
Well, what I want to say is there isn't one nurse in this province that wants to withdraw labor. We have gone into this profession to care for our patients. What this means is that we are certainly in a legal position to start taking job action. What our hope is that this very strong mandate is going to send some shockwaves through the system to the employer, to the government, that nurses will no longer be pushed around and that we want to negotiate a deal. Future patients should not be concerned at this point. The last thing we want to do is disrupt patient care. It's already tough enough being a patient and accessing health care under the current pressures that this province is experiencing. So at this point, there would be no impact on patients. We have signaled to the employer that we are willing to come back to the table and negotiate. Now, if that doesn't work, then we could escalate job action with 72 hours notice. We would focus on tactics that impact the employer, cause disruption, and it creates pressure. However, those tactics would not impact patient care. So that is what we would want to do initially. And then certainly, if we needed to escalate, we could. But the last thing that we would ever consider doing is withdrawing labor. And if that happened, we're still required to maintain essential service levels. So we don't want the public to become alarmed at this point. We do ask for your support, but at this point, there shouldn't be anything that is impacting patient care.
And to be clear again, the nurses have not gone on strike, but they have a strike vote mandate now with 98% of nurses voting to, I guess, enable that course of action if it comes to it. Now, in the meantime, like you said, hopefully you go back to the bargaining table. Do you think that nurses would be willing to return to the table with the help of an intervener like Vince Reddy, who often steps in as an arbitrator to help with this impasse?
Certainly if that's something that would be helpful, we would consider that. I'm actually feeling very confident in our committee, our chief negotiator, Jim Gould, and myself. We are the right people to have at the table currently. We have a very clear mandate in terms of what is needed for nurses and what is needed for safe patient care in this province. So, certainly open to additional assistance if required. But I think if the employer returns with an adjusted attitude and a willingness to get a deal that respects nurses, we should be able to do this.
Let's remind everybody of the sticking points, because there's pay, but there's also benefits. There's also just staffing levels. There's a lot that is being negotiated here. Can you remind us of the big issues?
Yeah, well, overwhelmingly, it's about creating working conditions that are safe for nurses and so that nurses can practice in a way in which we've been trained, which means that patients actually get the care they require and deserve. In terms of the specific sticking points, generally speaking, benefits are an issue. We want to negotiate benefits at the table, but so far, that's not been an interest of the employer. Nurses need eyeglasses so that they can see the very tiny writing on the vials of medication that we're drawing up. We need hearing aids so we can communicate with our patients effectively, and we need paramedicals to stay fit and healthy to practice at the bedside. So benefits is a huge issue. In terms of some of the other proposals around working conditions, occupational health and safety, violence prevention, and other sort of, improvements that we're looking for, we have tabled and counter-proposed 140 proposals. To date, we had heard back, or at least at the time of impasse, we had heard back on 65 of those proposals, and the employer rejected 61. So very slow movement since October. So that's been a significant sticking point. And then I would say the third reason is around compensation. We have been offered the general wage increase that all other public sector unions have been offered. And then other unions have been offered what we call some enhanced general enhanced mandate money. That totals 2%. We were only offered 0.4%. And so access to that 1.6% is a huge sticking point for us. Why should nurses who are carrying the system in a lot of ways take less than other public sector workers? So it becomes a matter of equality. So that would be sort of like the third sticking point that that's what made us determine that, we need to take a walk away from the table, declare an impasse, take a strike vote to demonstrate to the government and to the employers that we're serious and we're not going to be sort of pushed around on these issues.
We're talking to the BC Nurses Union President, Adrienne Geer, after more than 98% of the unionized workers, like you said, 98.2% voted in favor of a strike. If it comes to that, it hasn't come to that yet, but they at least have that enabled if they need to, as the negotiations hopefully will get back going, but we'll see where it goes. Thank you for giving us the update here.
Thank you very much, and have a great day.
All right, we got to take a break because the 8 o'clock news is next, but we'll continue to follow that story as, could there be labor unrest in BC's healthcare system? 8 o'clock news with Lisa Best is coming up. We got your traffic and weather, too. See a crash or accident out there? Let us know at 71010.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It's 8 o'clock on Wednesday, May 13th. We're looking at a windy day off the water, although the chance of showers is starting to leave us. We'll get you a full forecast in just a moment, but right now the news begins. And here is Lisa Best.
Thank you. Canada's Secretary of State for Nature, Natalie Prevost, was in Victoria yesterday announcing 16 tree planting projects province-wide. Many are here on Vancouver Island. The Nuka Sound Watershed Society will receive just under $1 million to plant more than 82,000 trees. That to restore 22.1 hectares of salmon-bearing habitat impacted by forestry and landslide in the Gold River region. The Cedar Cultural Restoration in Duncan will get about $1 million to plant more than 8,000 trees of cultural significance. Court documents show a trial date has been set for former CFAX 1070 radio show host Al Farabee. A 4-day trial by judge is scheduled to begin May 8th, 2027. Farabee is charged with 2 counts of child luring. Bell Murray Media, who owns CFAX 1070 and CTV, was not aware of the investigation into Farabee. He was suspended immediately once charges were laid and no longer works for the company. The charges against Al Farabee have not been tested in court. Nurses in BC have voted by more than 98.2%, in fact, to strike if their labour dispute with the province drags on. The BC Nurses Union, as we just heard live from Adrienne Geer, says voting this weekend involved 50,000 of its 55,000 members strong. The results show the group is united in their cause for higher wages, benefits, and better working conditions. Geer says interrupting patient care is the last thing they want to do, but it may happen if talks continue to stall.
It's already hard enough accessing care in this province. So I want to be clear, taking job action is not what we want to do. We are willing to go back to the table. We have signaled that to the employer. They have also signaled that they're willing to come back to the table. This is the final last chance, however.
Premier David Eby weighing in, saying he understands their frustration.
I would completely understand if every single nurse in the province was frustrated and wanted more recognition from government for the hard work they do for British Columbians. It is my commitment to those nurses and to British Columbians that we will sit at the table and we will reach an agreement that reflects and recognizes the hard work that nurses do for British Columbians every single day.
Two sides have been without a contract since the last deal expired in March of last year. The U.S. president is kicking off his summit with the president of China in Beijing, but the war in Iran is taking a lot of the attention.
New intelligence shows Iran's military capabilities appear stronger than the Trump administration has claimed. The New York Times reports Iran still has operational access to 30 of its 33 missile sites along the strait and retains 70% of its pre-war missile stockpile.
We're learning a new report shows more immigrants are choosing to leave the U.S. voluntarily. This is immigration enforcement intensifies under the current Donald Trump administration. It suggests fear of detention and deportation may be driving up many of the numbers.
The Vera Institute of Justice says voluntary departures in immigration court have surged during the Trump administration's crackdown on immigration. The group says the number jumped from about 800 a month at the end of the Biden administration to nearly 9,000 by February. The researchers say many people accepting those departures may still qualify to remain legally in the United States, but harsh detention conditions and limited access to lawyers are pushing them to leave anyway. Dave Packer, ABC News.
A new lawsuit filed in suburban Dallas could affect how all of us around the world watch TV.
It's a sound that 100 million people worldwide are intimately familiar with. That's the number of active monthly users of Netflix, according to a statement to its shareholders last year. The same presentation boasted about the access to user data that Netflix was granting to, quote, trusted partners. The Texas Attorney General says that data is gathered by spying on Netflix users. The streaming giant says the suit is meritless and that it will defend itself in court. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Golfing great Tiger Woods' medical records are now part of the DUI case he's involved in.
This after a Florida judge approved prosecutors' request for his prescription drug records, according to ESPN. The medical records are under a protective order and will be available only to prosecutors, law enforcement, expert witnesses, and the defense. Wood's medical info will not be made public. The 50-year-old golfer pleaded not guilty to misdemeanor DUI after rolling his SUV near his Jupiter Island, Florida home in March. I'm Michael Kastner.
That's your CFAX News to 8:05. CFAX 1070 News Poll question. Do you like the idea of changing rules in Victoria to allow cooling equipment in local rental units and condos? 60% saying yeah. You can vote at CFAX1070.com. Also on the iHeartRadio app. And Lisa Bester News Time is 8:07.
Hey, thanks, Lisa. We are looking at a cloudy day with a few sunny breaks possible, but mostly wind is the thing to think about, with gusts up to 80 kilometers an hour off the Wanda-Fuca Strait. The chance of showers, though, is starting to ease off. We didn't really see much in the way of showers, at least not where I've been looking, but whatever chance there was is going away, and it's just a windy day ahead of us. for the sports. Let's talk about the NHL, where the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres are now tied up at 2 games apiece in their second round playoff series. The Sabres evened things up with a 3-2 win in Montreal last night, thanks in part to a fluky goal that came off of the glass that bounced into the Montreal net. Montreal forward Cole Caulfield spoke about that stroke of bad luck.
Yeah, it sucks, honestly. I thought we played a pretty good game, obviously. There's some things that we can always get better at, but to see a fluke goal like that go in, it's obviously not the bounce you want.
Also, the Colorado Avalanche have a chance to eliminate Minnesota tonight. The Avs are up 3-1 with Game 5 on tap in Denver. Now, off the ice, Craig Berube is out as head coach of the Toronto Maple Leafs. The NHL team missed the playoffs this year for the first time in a decade, and he has been shown the door. No word on his replacement as of yet. And the Professional Women's Hockey League is expanding. We've heard that Hamilton and Las Vegas will be the cities joining the league next season, which brings the number of teams in the league to 11 after the league already announced an addition of Detroit last week. The slumping Toronto Blue Jays will try to salvage the finale of a 3-game series against Tampa Bay tonight. Dylan Cease gets the start for the Jays. Yesterday, it was a 7-6 loss in 10 innings for the Jays. And soccer talk, there's less than a month to go before the FIFA World Cup begins in co-hosted cities like in Canada and the U.S. and Mexico, including Vancouver. And the BC government has yet to unveil how much it'll cost for Vancouver to stage 7 of those games. Premier David Eby, speaking yesterday, was asked about this, and he said his team is working on getting the numbers before the end of the month.
It is a key piece of information for the public, but the legacies that will be created by this game, whether it's community sports fields or the improvements here to the stadium that will create lines of revenue, or the opportunity to develop and enhance relationships with business partners or tourists from around the world, is significant and hard to understate.
Vancouver's first game, by the way, is June 13th. That's exactly a month from today. And that is your Sports 2809. Hey, CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Thrifty Foods. Thrifty's thanks everybody who helped raise over $45,000 to support the new BC Cancer Centre in Nanaimo by purchasing specially marked pots at Island Grocers. No crashes or accidents to report at this time. If you see something, text me at 71010. It's standard volume delays out of the West Shore into Victoria, taking about 45 minutes to go from, say, the Royal Bay neighborhood of Colwood into downtown Victoria. That's the neighborhood I'm picking on right now. But yeah, no other problems. If you see something, text me at 71010. No sailing waits at BC Ferries. And in the weather forecast, we're looking at a cloudy start to the day. We could see the odd sunny break, but we've got wind as the main thing that is now a factor. Gusts by this afternoon up to 80 kilometers an hour. Highs hitting 18 degrees, a little cooler by the water. Overnight tonight, still windy, lows to 9. Tomorrow, a mix of sun and cloud to start the day, but then it's a chance of showers by later in the afternoon. And then we're kind of settling into that chance of showers through Friday and Saturday with overcast skies. Again, we had a chance of showers last night. I didn't really see much of anything. It's only a chance that we might see scattered showers across the greater Victoria region. There's no guarantee of rain, but we have a possibility of it in the Victoria area through the beginning of that long weekend. Sunday and Monday, though, looks like they clear up in time for the Victoria Day. Maybe the parade won't have rain to contend with some sun now in the forecast. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto down 111 points at this hour to 34,179. The Dow is down 248 to 49,512. The Canadian dollar at 73 cents US, even, which is down just a fraction of a cent from yesterday's close. Oh, and let's talk about the barrel of oil. It's at $103 US a barrel, which is up 82 cents from yesterday.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070. Oversleepers, catch all the highlights on the latest audio podcast at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
And they're off. The commuting challenge is on for Go By Bike Week.
Felt the breeze.
Yeah, there's a bunch of teams out there, by the way. I think 17 teams are going at it right now, with cyclists and a driver racing to see who can get from wherever they start to the legislature first.
But not speeding.
You can't speed.
Just racing.
You got to follow all the rules of the road. So that's what's happening right now. We're going to check in with the CFAX team, which is Boss Man Brad on a bike, which is Josh from the Josh and Jade Show in a car. We'll see who wins, because I bet you any moment now one of them will be arriving at the BC legislature.
I think they got tricks up their sleeve.
You think? Both sides?
2 wheels and 4 wheels, yeah.
The other thing, speaking of rules of the road, we had a fascinating conversation earlier this hour about e-bikes and e-scooters. If you missed it and you have questions about the rules around those, I do recommend going back and listening to the soundbite on the CFAX 1070 website, or follow the Ryan and Lisa podcast on any of your favorite podcast services. We'll post this whole show later, and you can go find this conversation. But Lisa, really interesting to learn a bunch of the different rules about these kind of, different e-mobility devices.
Well, e-bikes, e-scooters, and it's a really accessible form of transportation now. I have an e-scooter. It does 30. I just found out my max speed is supposed to be 25.
Yeah, I didn't know that the e-scooter has a different speed limit compared to an e-bike, but it does.
Well, what they're asking you to do, and because it's a lower profile, and as Corporal Nancy Sager from West Shore CMP had said, you can't take these things off terrain. If you do, don't expect it to last long, and it can be very dangerous as well. It's meant for smooth pavement. So she's saying with that, 25, and I agree with her. In downtown regions where there's pedestrians, where there's a possibility of someone stepping out in front of you, cars turning, that's fast enough with having to deal with everything else that's going on the road. So I get it. What a lot of people don't know is the age parameters.
Yeah, because that was another thing. A bunch of people texted us since that interview talking about how they see kids on these things all the time. And apparently that's a no-go, because you got to be 16 plus for these things.
Because they're powerful.
Yeah.
Mine has blown out from under me if I hit the trigger wrong. It will get away from you. And the bikes are very powerful. So e-scooter, e-bike, yeah, they're great for transportation, but with that power at your thumb or wherever your throttle is, comes great responsibility, and 13 doesn't have that. So the age limit is 16 for e-scooters, and e-bikes, it's 14 or 16 depending on the power of the e-bike.
And as we learned too, another factor is e-scooters are not universally allowed at all, because you have to be a municipality that opted into a BC government pilot project to allow them as a test, because I guess these things are so new, they're still figuring out the rules around them.
Agreed.
And as Corporal Nancy Sagar told us, in the West Shore, not everywhere allows them. Langford, Colwood, View Royal, you're okay. But if you crossed into, say, Machosen or Highlands, they're not allowed there.
Not going to happen.
Now, she was speaking from the West Shore perspective, because she's West Shore RCMP. There are many other municipalities in the region that allow it. The city of Victoria and Saanich, Esquimalt, Oak Bay, they're all participating. So there are many other places that can. I didn't want to...
Most of the urban communities,
are doing
it's 32 in BC. So most communities in BC of size are participating. But it's always good to know.
It was a fascinating conversation. If you missed it, please do follow, like, subscribe, Ryan and Lisa, the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, and you can catch up on that conversation and others. 8:16, over to the headlines. Here's Lisa.
Thank you and good morning. Sydney Council has decided not to support a request to authorize a Capital Regional District loan of up to $14.2 million to fund a proposed indoor rec center in central Saanich. Council sought public input about the idea brought forward by the CRD's Peninsula Recreation Commission, recognizing that borrowing costs would be shared among Sydney, North Saanich, and Central Saanich taxpayers. The U.S. president is landing in Beijing today for that highly anticipated summit with the leader of China. Trump told reporters that it's trade, not Iran, that will be the main focus of their discussions. His administration hopes to establish a board of trade with China to address differences and prevent further trade conflicts. The visit comes at a delicate moment for Donald Trump, with his popularity affected by the continued war and the rising inflation and fuel prices that come with it. Trump's China trip also comes not long after he slammed this country for reaching an independent trade deal with China. And Elon Musk is facing a new allegation in his lawsuit as it continues against OpenAI, testifying in federal court yesterday. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman said Musk once said the company would be controlled by his children if he died. Musk later left the company and is now suing OpenAI over its decision to form a for-profit arm. That is your headline news to 8:18.
Texter at 71010 says, we've had a lot of emails from our daughter's high school about age and speed limits after a lot of near misses on these kind of e-devices. Yeah, it's a big topic for people.
And to keep people safe, keeping kids safe.
Thanks for texting at 71010. Hey, change of topic coming up because the BC Conservative leadership race is nearly at its end. By the end of this month, there will be the finale of the vote, and somebody will be taking the party on after the implosion that happened with John Rustad at the end of last year. They had their last debate a few days ago. How are things shaping up in these final days? Vaughn Palmer, columnist with the Vancouver Sun, who follows BC politics closely, is obviously following this one, and he's going to weigh in on the state of things next. CFAX Morning Show brought to you by Bluebird Cabs. Need a cab? Download the Bluebird Cabs app at Bluebird Cabs Ltd. They're proudly local and Canadian-owned and run since 1946. On the road, no crashes, no accidents still. Volume delays are fairly heavy from the West Shore into Victoria. About a 45-minute drive from the Royal Bay neighborhood of Colwood into downtown Victoria is what we're seeing. But it's just volume, no specific issues. There is a new issue, though, when it comes to construction downtown. Government around about Pembroke, starting today and then lasting until July. They're going to be doing some construction there. Flaggers will be directing things. It will be obstructed, so watch out for that slowdown. For the weather forecast, we are getting out of the chance of showers that was with us overnight, and now we're just into a cloudy day with a few sunny breaks and a lot of wind, gusting up to 80 kilometers an hour off the water this afternoon, and that's going to carry on overnight as well. Highs of 18 expected today, lows of 9 overnight.
Ryan and Lisa are ready when you are.
Good morning.
Day or night, find the highlights under latest audio at CFAX1070.com and on the free iHeartRadio app.
Well, I love talking BC politics with this next guest. Vaughn Palmer, columnist with the Vancouver Sun, following the legislature closely and following the BC Conservative leadership race closely as it gets near the end with the vote by the end of the month on who will lead this party forward. Vaughn, great to talk to you. How you doing?
I'm doing well, Ryan. I'm really shocked to hear that there's a route through downtown Victoria that's being closed by construction.
It's never happened.
First time that's ever happened.
Never happened before. It's top story news here. Delays trying to get around Victoria. The BC Conservative leadership contest. They had was it the final debate over the weekend? Last weekend?
Yeah, so they've had 3 debates, and the last one was the one on Global on Saturday night. They've staked out 5 reasonably distinctive positions, and I don't think there was a clear winner on Saturday night. They're getting a little chippy in their dealings with each other and their maneuvering, and at this point, I don't know. They're still sorting out their membership list because they claimed, Ryan, 42,000 members, but I understand from the Conservatives that the vetting on this is pretty rigorous, and they don't expect to have 42,000 voters by the end of it. The ballots will be tallied and announced May 30th, and the way you vote for the Conservatives is you can pick your first choice, you can pick second and third choices. If your candidate drops out, they count the second and third choices. So that's part of the reason that we're not 100% sure who even is the front runner at this point.
Yeah, because sometimes it's that sort of second choice candidate that can really emerge as the winner in those kind of ranked ballot situations.
That's true, and you're sort of looking how they're lining up. So you've got 2, I would say, conservatives, Findlay, Carrie Lynn Findlay, she's the former federal MP, the true blue Tory, and Yuri Fulmer, the business guy, he's got a bunch of A&W franchises, and he's positioned himself pretty solidly on the right. And then you've got 3 other candidates who are kind of, and I say center and center left only in conservative terms. Don't call up and say, wait a minute, none of these people are on the left, but they're to the left of the other 2. So you got Ian Black, the former cabinet minister, BC Liberal, former head of the Board of Trade, Peter Millibar, who's an MLA, and, oh, God, I'm going to forget one of them. I know that. I always do. So you're going to have to tell me who the 5th one is.
Did you mention Carolyn Elliott?
Carolyn Elliott, yes, God, you never forgive me for that. And those are, I would say, more centrist. You wonder too, with the 5, are they going to tell their own supporters, if you're voting for me first, make sure you give your second choice to so and so. So you're starting to see some alignment there. They had, as you probably noticed, one nasty moment on Saturday night.
Yeah, remind us of that.
Findlay, the federal MP, former federal MP, she accuses Peter Millibar of a conflict of interest because Millibar's wife and children are Indigenous. He's from Kamloops, and I think his son-in-law works for the First Nation there. So she says that's conflict of interest. Millibar kind of bristled and pushed back on it, but was careful. He didn't get too nasty. And then Ian Black jumped in the next day on social media and accused Findlay of playing the race card. She hasn't backed off, so it's getting personal. I guess, when the stakes are you win this, you might be the next premier of BC. The current opinion polls have the Conservatives leading the NDP by 10 points without a leader. So it's getting lively.
Now, does that sort of indicate that First Nations reconciliation issues, Indigenous issues are really emerging as one of the front and center debate points for these Conservative candidates? That really has been one of the issues they've been at a lot.
Yeah, so all 5 of them favor repealing DRIPA, this Declaration Act that David Eby was briefly talking about suspending, and then he said, no, we're going to hold off. So all 5 want to repeal it. Then you ask them, well, what are you going to do next? and there you get some differences. They all expect a backlash from First Nations. They all say the province will have to deal with that. Millibar is probably the most realistic. He accuses some of his opponents of talking about how many people they're going to lure onto the front lawn in protest. But it clearly will be, if the Conservatives get in and they do repeal DRIPA, it clearly will be a major point of difference with First Nations. They will have to sort that out because, Ryan, as you know, it's very hard to get anything built or developed on Crown land and resources in British Columbia without some degree of consent from First Nations. So, it's one thing to say we're going to do this on day one. It's another thing to then have to deal with the fallout. Now, we're a long way away from these people taking office yet. David Eby is not going anywhere at the moment, and even if he were to leave, the New Democrats might well pick a new leader. That's happened before in BC, and a fresh start. So, as I say, there's a lot of hypotheticals in this, and we've known, Ryan, you know, and I know from covering BC politics that what you imagine could happen doesn't very often match what actually does happen in BC. So there's still a lot of unknowns out there.
Oh, man, yeah. And we won't even know who emerges as the BC Conservative leader until all the dust is settled, because, like you said, it's still kind of hard to tell where this thing is going. It could surprise us, and it's going to be May 30th, right? That's the day it's unveiled?
Yeah.
Watch it for May 30th. That is Vaughn Palmer. He's written all about the latest in the BC Conservative leadership race in his column that you find in the Vancouver Sun. I do encourage everybody to read Vaughn's work there, and I always appreciate it when you talk to us here.
Thanks, Ryan.
All right, we'll take a break. We got the 8:30 news next on CFAX 1070.
The CFAX 1070 Summer of Rock. All right. Win a trip to Vancouver and catch a concert from the Sax Point Pub Summer of Rock lineup. Starting Monday, May 18. Listen to CFAX from 6 till 6.
When you hear a clip from our Artist of the Week,
text ROCK to 71010 with your first name
to win that concert.
You'll fly with Helijet and stay at the Rosedale on Robson Suite Hotel. Brought to you by the Sax Point Pub in Esquimalt.
Stream us on the iHeartRadio app.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeartRadio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. It is 8:30 on Wednesday, May 13th. It's going to be a windy day today. The chance of showers that was with us overnight is starting to ease off, though, and we're just left with clouds and wind and maybe some sunny breaks for your Wednesday. Full forecast to come. Right now, the 8:30 news begins, and here is Lisa Best.
We have 32 active fires burning province-wide as of this morning. 12 of them are listed as out of control. One of them, of the 11 that sparked in the last 24 hours, is here on Vancouver Island. It was discovered this morning, burning mid-island just north of Highway 4. You can see it from the road, situated between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. It is considered out of control at this point, and it's torched about a hectare of land at this point. Just ahead of the long weekend, that campfire ban is being lifted at noon Friday. The Coastal Fire Center said it's due to cooler temperatures and an increase in humidity. Category 2 and 3 open fires remain banned. This applies to all areas within the Coastal Fire Center and outside of municipal boundaries, except for Haida Gwaii. Municipalities may impose different bans based on conditions in the immediate area. It's also always best to check with the local fire department beforehand. From fire to water, CTV Vancouver Island reporter Brendan Strain continues his series on water, lack of or abundance on this island. The focus this time, Comox Valley.
The CVRD, we actually have 5 different water systems that we manage.
Each one fed by a different water source, the largest being Comox Lake. 3 of those 5 are highly dependent on snowpack levels in the alpine of the Comox Valley, which is currently sitting at extremely low levels.
The May 1st numbers coming in at 27% of normal.
We are definitely concerned.
On May 1st, the Comox Valley Regional District, much like other communities on Vancouver Island, implemented its Stage 1 water restrictions. In a normal year, the district will go to Stage 2 on July 1st.
This year seems likely that we'll end up accelerating that timeline a bit.
Unless the Comox Valley experiences a wet January, it expects to go into Stage 3 by the end of the summer, and potentially even Stage 4. The CVRD says that has never been implemented before, outside of an infrastructure malfunction, such as a water main break.
To the roads now, the Victoria Regional Transit Commission voting to expand service to the airport through a pilot project without reducing service to residents in Sydney. Route 72 will change with select early morning and late night trips serving the airport. Route 88 and 87 will continue to provide daytime service to the airport and to residents on the peninsula. The changes will begin as early as this fall or possibly winter in January, pending the arrival of 39 new double-decker buses. The Commission says the funding for the changes are included in their provincial funding ask for the upcoming year. Staff will analyze options to improve the connections along with the route, particularly on Sunday nights. Airport-bound riders will pay the standard fare, at least for the time being, once the service gets going. The BC Nurses Union voting overwhelmingly in favor of strike action in its labor dispute with the province. Some 50,000 of 55,000 members plus took part in voting over the weekend. Over 98% supporting the job action in case talks don't progress. Union President Adrian Gear on CFAX earlier saying nurses are frustrated by an employer who refused to move on their contract.
This vote does not mean nurses are going on strike tomorrow. What it does mean is that nurses across British Columbia are united more than ever before, and we are prepared to do what it takes to secure a fair contract, a contract that respects us.
Nurses are asking for higher compensation, benefits, better working conditions as well. East of us in Toronto, a doctor there pushing back against a report into AI note-taking tools that was released by the Ontario Auditor General. Shelley Spence's report found that AI tools provided incorrect or incomplete information, with evaluators finding serious transcript errors generated by 20 different programs. Dr. Michael Warner is a chief medical information officer at Michael Garron Hospital. He says these programs only work when doctors check the notes that were taken with them.
Doctors are duty bound by the college to review all notes for accuracy before they're sent out to other physicians or colleagues. I would say 100% of my notes are inaccurate, and that's why I read them every day to make sure that they're accurate before they go out. So I think this is a really important tool. When used appropriately, can save doctors time and also allows for better doctor-patient interactions.
The Auditor General didn't recommend ditching the technology, but it says it's important that they continually test it. And the astronauts who captured our attention with their journey to the far side of the moon last month have visited Ottawa to talk about the future of space travel. Canada's Jeremy Hansen, the Artemis II crewmates, met with the Prime Minister in his office today. Carney alluded to a video call he had with Hansen during the 10-day mission.
This is the first time we've actually had a conversation on Earth, actually. But he mentioned in one of his comments that this mission, which involves some risk, hadn't been done. This is as far as any people had gone into space, but it was risk for a reason, and risk to set up even bigger opportunities.
That opportunity, the Artemis III mission, scheduled to take place next year. That's your news, 8:36. Your CFAX 1070 news poll question this morning. Do you like the idea of changing rules in Victoria to allow cooling equipment in local rental units or condos? Over 2/3 say yes. You can vote now at CFAX1070.com or on the iHeartRadio app. I'm Lisa Best. Your news time is 8:37.
Thank you, Lisa. Good morning. It's going to be a blustery day today. We got a lot of wind off the Wanda-Fuca Strait. Mostly a cloudy day with a few peaks of the sun. But the chance of showers looks like it's getting behind us. That's what you're faced with as you get into this day. The long-range forecast is coming up. Right now, it's the sports, and we shall start in the NHL, where the Montreal Canadiens and the Buffalo Sabres are now tied up at 2 games apiece in their second-round playoff series. The Sabres even things up with a 3-2 win in Montreal last night, thanks in part to a fluky tying goal from Buffalo that went off the glass, bounced into the net. Montreal forward Cole Caulfield spoke about that stroke of bad luck.
There's some things that we can always get better at, but to see a fluke goal like that go in, it's obviously not the bounce you want.
What can you do? Says Cole Caulfield. The best-of-7 series shifts to Buffalo for Game 5. Tomorrow night, Game 6 is Saturday in Montreal. And then last night as well, the Vegas Golden Knights had a 3-2 win over the visiting Anaheim Ducks. The Golden Knights lead the second-round best-of-7 series 3-2 now. A couple of breaking stories this morning when it comes to hockey off the ice. We'll start with the Toronto Maple Leafs. They have now fired head coach Craig Berube. He's out after the Leafs missed the playoffs for the first time in a decade this year. He spent 2 years in the position. No immediate word on a replacement. And the other bit of off-ice news, this is with the PWHL, the Professional Women's Hockey League. They've announced more expansion teams. Another one's Canadian. Hamilton is on the list. We've also got Las Vegas, and then last week they announced Detroit. So that brings the number of teams in the PWHL to 11. Slumping Blue Jays will try to salvage the finale of a 3-game series against Tampa Bay tonight. Dylan Cease on the mound for the Jays. Yesterday, it was a 7-6 loss in 10 innings for the Blue Jays. That is your sports to 8:39. CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. No major issues, no traffic crashes, problems like that. If you see something, though, text me at 71010. For West Shore volume delays, we've been picking on the Royal Bay neighborhood of Colwood today as our example of the commute. So we're starting to see it lighten off a little bit, but it's still taking about 40 minutes to get from that area into downtown Victoria. So still slow out there. BC Ferries, 9 o'clock sailing coming up with no waits. And the weather, there's a lot going on in the weather. So we had that small chance of showers overnight. I didn't see much rainfall. I don't know if you did. But anyways, it's out of the forecast now, and we're moving into a windy, cloudy day. Highs of 18 degrees, cooler by the windy water. The wind continues overnight, gusting up to 80 kilometers an hour, lows to 9. Tomorrow, mix of sun and cloud to start, but the chance of showers is back with us by afternoon tomorrow. A chance of scattered showers across Greater Victoria will continue through Friday and Saturday, but the back half of the Victoria Day long weekend looks like it gets sunny again Sunday and Monday. Right now, temperature-wise, in downtown Victoria, it's 14 degrees, which is about what we're seeing everywhere. It's a little warmer at Butchart Gardens, where it's 15 degrees. On the markets, S&P TSX in Toronto deepening some losses on the day, down 212 to 34,078. The Dow in New York down 231 to 49,528. The Canadian dollar at 73 cents US even, and the barrel of oil is up about 50 cents over yesterday to $102.65 US a barrel.
Ryan and Lisa, mornings on CFAX 1070.
Okay, so we now have the Go by Bike Week Commuter Challenge complete, including the one and featuring the CFAX team of Boss Man Brad on the bicycle and Josh from the Josh and Jade Afternoon Show in the car. We're about to find out who won. I've got them both on the line right now. Hello, is this Brad?
Drum roll, please. The suspense is building.
We don't know who won. Josh is here too. Josh, how you doing?
Oh, good morning. And somehow I'm the one that's winded.
You're the one who's winded. Well, that's because you had to park and then run as fast as you could to the lawn of the legislature because you guys just went on bike and car from Esquimalt, where the CFAX studios are, to the legislature, which is where all the different go-by-bike teams we're trying to get to. So now, with the drum roll, happening, who won?
Bike smashed it. Bike smashed it.
Wow, okay.
Sure. It was 7 minutes.
What?
Up 7 minutes, yeah. I made it in 11:21. Josh was 7 minutes behind. Most of that stuck on the Johnson Street Bridge and trying to find parking. I was worried. There was some wind in my face, and he was leading for the first few blocks on the Esquimalt Road. And then that red light by the Shell station is where I kind of took off and never looked back. So just proving our point that it is easier to get around this town from most routes on a bike than it is on a car.
How does that make you feel, Josh?
I was feeling great for like the first 5 minutes until, like Brad said, I got stuck at about Sitcombe Road into all of the cars that were trying to go over the Bay Street Bridge into Victoria but cannot, and now have to take the Johnson Street Bridge, and that just gummed up the whole works, and he was sailing beyond me. I never saw him again.
Oh, dear.
Well, the bicycle won the CFAX challenge, despite the headwinds that you were facing there, Brad. We have mentioned the wind out there today. Now,
I got to say, though, Josh would win if he had to transport a couch.
Aha.
So there's that.
Yes, true.
Now, I gotta ask, have you found out how the other races went? How many did the bike win versus the car?
Absolutely. There were 17 teams. They're taking a big group photo now while we talk on the radio. So if you see it out later, we're not in it. That's why. There were 17 teams, only one car won.
Wow. Okay, so
yes.
the bicycle was a huge triumph in this Go By Bike Week Commuter Challenge. Brad, last word to you as the victor. Or is this making you want to get on that bike more often to commute to work?
I am a fair-weathered biker, so give me another couple weeks before I really start to ramp it up. But I think they've timed the official launch of Go By Bike Week for May 30th perfectly, because by then we should be into a pretty good heat wave, and there'll be no turning back after that. So, yes, the infrastructure, the Goose, the ENN, this is Mayor Ann Alto was saying here today that this was it's the biking capital of Canada, and for good reason. We have the infrastructure, so let's use it.
Texter at 71010 says, lol, but Josh, for $75, you could have gotten them to lift the Johnson Street Bridge on Brad.
Yeah, we very well could have, but, I couldn't make the call while I was driving.
That's true, yeah. It's hands-free only. Josh and Brad, thank you so much for talking to us and letting us know the results. Yeah,
of course.
See you in a little bit.
All right, cheers. Okay. Now at 8:45, the headlines with Lisa.
We have a new wildfire burning on this island. It's just north of Highway 4, situated between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. It has torched about a hectare of land so far. It's quite visible from Highway 4. So if you see it, that's among 32 active fires burning province-wide, according to the BC Wildfire Service. A dozen of them burning out of control. There's been 11 new fires start in the last 24 hours, including this one new fire here on Vancouver Island. The campfire ban is being lifted at noon Friday. The Coastal Fire Center said it's due to the cooler temperatures we've had and an increase in humidity. Category 2 and 3 open fires remain banned. Of course, municipalities may impose different bans based on conditions in the immediate area, so you do have to check ahead with local fire departments to ensure. Anthropic representatives will meet with the House Committee on Homeland Security in the U.S. to discuss their new Mythos AI model. That model is seeing only limited release to companies and organizations Anthropic considers trusted partners. That's due to its advanced capabilities and ability to exploit security flaws. The closed-door briefing comes as lawmakers consider the effect of AI on national security. And a licensed addiction counselor who helped sell ketamine to Friends star Matthew Perry is set to be sentenced. Prosecutors asking for Eric Fleming to be sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. He pleaded guilty to distribution of ketamine resulting in death. And that is your news to 8:47.
So in the news, Lisa, there was a cyber attack recently.
Yes, a big one.
A big one. So this was a UBC was caught up in this, but it went way beyond here in North America. There were institutions in the UK and Australia, all across North America.
Yes.
Where it was one of those like ransom things.
Yeah, that's usually what it's about.
Yeah. So and it targeted.
Give us money or we release everything.
Yeah, basically, yeah. And apparently, the company behind this popular Canvas software, which I believe deals with student loans and that kind of stuff. And so it
sensitive information.
Whatever it does, it has student loan data and student information.
Right.
And it's the thing that got hacked. And the company apparently has paid the hackers to not release and publish that stolen data online. So that's the update there on that big story. Let's dial into this a little bit, find out more about what happened, and talk a bit about how concerned we have to be about these kind of things happening with our data. Brandon Lauer, regular guest on the show. He is CEO and digital literacy instructor behind the White Hatter. He's joining us next.
From CFAX 1070.
Here's what's happening around the island.
The 20th Oak Bay Half Marathon is May 24th. More info at oakbayhalf.com. Sign up for the Walk for Alzheimer's, Sunday, May 31st at Fisherman's Wharf. More info at walkforalzheimers.ca. Have an event you want featured on CFAX 1070? Text us at 71010 to be featured.
Get more event info at CFAX1070.com.
If it's happening, it's here.
CFAX 1070.
CFAX 1070 traffic and weather. It is 8:50 here on a Wednesday morning. The commute is looking pretty normal, to tell you the truth. No crashes, no accidents, no unusual volume delays out of the West Shore. If you're on a bike, it's looking pretty good. As we just learned, the Go By Bike Challenge, all but one teams featuring the car and bike race, the bike won. So it's a good day for biking, I guess, today. But yeah, no other major issues. No waits at BC Ferries. The weather's complicated because we got mostly cloudy. There might be some sunny breaks. Wind is huge, up to 80 kilometers an hour off the Wantafuka Strait by this afternoon. So a big windy day today. Highs of 18, cooler by the water. Tonight, a few clouds. Wind continues, lows to 9. Tomorrow starts with a few sunny breaks, ends with a chance of showers. We have a small chance of scattered showers through Friday and Saturday. It's not looking like a major rain event, but we could see, again, some possible rain. And then Sunday and holiday Monday look like they dry up.
The best way to start an island morning. Ryan and Lisa on CFAX 1070.
All right, I'm still trying to get my head around this huge cyber attack on popular education management software. It's called Canvas. UBC caught up in this. So here to help us through the story and what we need to know ourselves about protecting ourselves in these kind of situations, I got the CEO and digital literacy instructor behind the White Hatter, Brandon Lauer here. He's a regular guest on the show, helping us navigate these kind of cyber issues. So thanks for joining us today.
Oh, good morning. Pleasure to help.
Well, before we get to the advice that we can all take from this, let's just set the scene here. Talk about what happened, what this hack was, what the data involved was, and who was involved. Give us the players here.
Okay, so the quick rundown is Canvas is it's a learning management tool. It's similar to Brightspace or Moodle. Basically, classrooms, mostly universities, can manage grades, feedback, talk to other students, quizzes and tests, and all that kind of stuff. And effectively, a hacking group calling themselves Shiny Hunters. They claim to have stolen data, including 200 million records of chats and information, impacting 9,000 schools. As you mentioned, UBC said they were impacted, and SFU as well. So kind of a big deal. Now, supposedly, there's been an agreement between the Canvas maker, the manufacturer, and the hacking group. The details of the agreement in terms of they got the data back somehow and they have some kind of proof that the data was deleted on good faith by the hackers. I'm not super confident in that. However, the risk factor has been lowered. The information that was stolen was usernames, emails, course information, some enrollment information, messages, student IDs. So not like bank information or passwords, which is fantastic. That wasn't stolen. But just because the information was returned, there's no evidence that the hackers didn't make notes or make screen recordings of the data, because in blackmail, if you have the proof, it makes it so much more effective, but simply knowing a secret of somebody can be enough for blackmail. But the hackers promised they wouldn't do that in this agreement.
And I guess we don't know how much they got paid off, do we?
Yes, I think that's probably a good thing not to disclose that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, no.
It does feel like we're kind of rewarding the bad actors for a successful hack. I believe the common knowledge, the common practice is that you don't negotiate with these folks. So that's a little unsettling that a negotiation did happen.
Now, I got a question about why this becomes such an issue, and I'm sure you got a better answer for me. But so you mentioned it doesn't seem like bank information or anything like that was out there. So a lot of this would be chats and grades and course information. So what makes that so concerning that it's worth paying off these hackers to not release? Like, what kind of information in there would be worrisome?
Hard to say. My advice when I'm working with folks in businesses or even students, if you're using a communications system that you don't have direct control or access over, don't do anything super or secret or private in those spaces. So in regards to information, I mean, this impacted this. We saw universities like login pages were basically disrupted. There were some reports of some institutions were doing final exams, and basically that kind of disrupted the exam. So it is probably more of a disruption in business in terms of the operation of these over 9,000 institutions.
That makes sense. But that said, still concerning that some private data would get out there. So you already kind of offered a piece of advice. If you're using some chat in in this case, school software, or who knows what it is, maybe just be aware that this could get out there, and be careful what you share. Is that one of the big takeaways we can take out of this?
Precisely. These tools are super efficient because students can come together, they can communicate, work on group projects without having to share their phone numbers with each other or their email addresses. It's a central management system, which is useful for that reason, but you want to use it for the professional reasons that it's provided. I've seen a lot of people in businesses get in a lot of trouble because they use their business internal chat function for more personal, sensitive conversations when they probably should have had that stuff off the platform on a different app.
Yeah. Last question for you. We're just about out of time. But again, I'm just sort of scratching my head over this. This is such a big thing, this sort of hacking into, like you said, about 9,000 institutions in North America, Australia, and UK use this software. Big disruption. These hackers holding it for ransom, getting paid out. How common is that kind of situation? Like these hackers trying to hold people's stuff for ransom that they get like this. Is this becoming a more common occurrence?
It is, yes. That's the objective for these folks. They need to make money somehow, and they're making money through illicit means. So we are seeing a lot more of hacks trying to hack into central systems and then, hey, give me money or else. Typically, you don't negotiate with these folks because you don't want to encourage more of this stuff. So that's a little discouraging that some agreement was made. I understand why it's not disclosed, the details, but that's a little concerning.
Well, something to watch out for in the new day and age. But Brandon Lohr, CEO of the digital of digital literacy at the White Hatter, always appreciate talking to you. Always good things to think about. Much appreciated.
Pleasure to help.
All right, we got to get to the news. That's what we got to do. We got to end the show. That's what I got to do. It's the end. I'm Ryan, but Lisa will be carrying on with your 9 o'clock news next, and I will talk to you tomorrow.
CFAX Victoria,
an iHeart radio station. If it's happening,
it's here.
CFAX 1070.
Good morning. I'm Lisa Best with your CFAX 1070 news to 9 o'clock. We have a new fire burning on Vancouver Island, the first in days. It was discovered this morning burning mid-island just north of Highway 4, a familiar place for fires situated between Cameron Lake and Port Alberni. It is visible from the highway. It's torched about a hectare of land so far. Province-wide, there's 32 active fires burning. According to the BC Wildfire Service, 12 of those are out of control. 11 new fires in the last 24 hours, including this one. Just ahead of the long weekend, the campfire ban is being lifted at noon Friday for the Coastal Fire Center region due to cooler temps and an increase in humidity. But Category 2 and 3 open fires remain banned. This is within the Coastal Campfire Center, excluding Haida Gwaii, and municipalities may impose different bans based on conditions in the immediate area, so you should always check ahead before you light that match. Central Saanich Police police confirmed that a traffic-related charge against Corporal Phil Batista has been dismissed by the Provincial Court of BC. The charges stem from an incident on May of 2024, 2 years ago, an on-duty incident where a cyclist was hit by a marked Central Saanich police vehicle on Wallace Drive. The service considers the matter closed. It will not be providing further comment on any specifics of the case. The BC Nurses Union, though, has a lot to say after more than 98% of its nearly 55,000 members voting in favor of job action. The union announced the results of the 4-day vote after reaching an impasse with the province last month. Wages, benefits, and working conditions continue to remain the main sticking point. BC Premier David Eby says he's confident the government will find a path forward with the union.
I remain optimistic that we'll reach an agreement with the nurses. Our nurses are a cornerstone of the healthcare system. There's really not a British Columbian that hasn't had a positive experience with a nurse at some point in their life. And we know how critical they are to holding our healthcare system together.
Nurses are considered an essential service under the Labour Relations Board. That means the upcoming job action, if it happens, will be limited. Nearly half of all telecom customers asked say they won't be using artificial intelligence for any of their phone or internet service needs.
That's the upshot from new global research by Ipsos Canada, which was shared Tuesday during a presentation at the 25th Annual Canadian Telecom Summit in Toronto. The role of AI in telecom, from network development to customer service, is one of the key themes at this year's conference, which wraps up today. The research firm's Cameron McFadden says satisfaction is lacking among telecom customers in their usage of AI, but there is an opportunity for companies to improve. He says customers generally still prefer to speak with a human when dealing with a complex issue. However, many are open to using AI to research plan pricing and help them decide whether to switch providers. Rob Westgate, The Canadian Press.
We're learning of a serious crash involving a bus northwest of Edmonton. Alberta RCMP say that multiple people have been taken to hospital with serious injuries after a charter bus rolled off a highway. No word on what caused the bus to veer off the road. The investigation continues. There was no deaths, but there are severe injuries. RCMP say there were 17 people on that bus. Golfing great Tiger Woods' medical records are now part of his DUI case.